First promotion best of 3. The winner makes it to our live stage on Friday. And pretty much all of you are back in G2. Tim, absolutely no surprises there. We're into club for our first map.
I am really looking forward to this matchup. G2, we've not cast them so far yet. I have gone back and watched the games, but they are one of the most exciting teams, I think, at the major. Obviously unbeaten so far, as are Twisted Minds. That's why we're here. They're both 2-0, but a lot of people coming in really liking G2 for this tournament with the way they've played. Shaiko on form along with the others.
Oh, he's having a lot of fun this
Really
event.
is. Twisted Minds, though, look, do not write them off. They are a class act, and they've been bringing their chaotic best, I think it's fair to say. There's Hasham just running all over Weibo in that second half yesterday.
They were. I mean, Shaiko right now is the second highest rated player in the tournament, only behind Baby Shark, who's up there at a 151 EPS. Shaiko on 137. But that doesn't mean that he isn't absolutely flying at the minute. I think also second rated when it comes to cost, only second to Kansan. We'll see if he can keep on delivering here, or if there's another hero waiting in the wings. I think Alamal put a couple of clips out on social media about how it's like winding back the years, this event. It's had a good few moments where he's himself absolutely popped off. It's been brilliant to see. We'll see if that can continue here against EU opposition, and aggressive opposition at that. We saw a brilliant game from Twisted Minds yesterday against Weibo. Hasham, I think, causing quite a little bit of a problem for the opposition on the entry. And P9 equally dropped 16 kills or something absolutely ridiculous. Either way, they were a handful. And today could prove to be the same, even though they're playing with a sub in the form of Guards. His brother Dovakin unfortunately couldn't make it, but so far has put up a good show in his place. We're going to start down in the basement, Tim. It's our most offensive site in the game, so if G2 can get this off to a good start anywhere, you'd imagine it's going to be down here.
So as a reminder for everybody looking back to kickoff as well, because obviously the most recent time we've seen these two play, they were actually in separate groups. G2 was Group A, Twisted Minds was Group B, so we didn't see them play in that initial phase, but we did see them play in the upper bracket semi-finals. It was 2-0 G2, 7-3, 8-7 played on Lair and Border, so none of the maps that we're seeing today are being replayed, but it was a comfortable win for G2. Benja actually going MVP in both games, both maps.
And there's a few question marks around this one. G2, of course, made their roster changes recently. I think there'll be no complaints about Shaiko, not given how he's been playing so far. It makes total sense. But a few comments around Benja. I remember asking Doki at the time, why Benja? And he said, well, we know him as a known entity. Obviously, he's had time to grow and mature, playing for SSG over in NA. We've seen what he can do already. We know what kind of player he is. We know what we're expecting with him, and we feel it can take the team up a gear. That's not all a slight towards Blaz or Loira, but I think with many of the coaches at this tournament saying they favour G2, FaZe or Furia to win this event, you're hard pressed to say that those changes haven't been a positive for G2 overall. Storming kicking things off on the clash here on the main stairs as Twisted Minds get to work around kitchen, opening up hatches, tearing up floorboards, all the stuff that you know and love for a basement hit on Clubhouse.
Yeah, Twisted Minds are making really good progress so far. If you have a look at the bottom left of your screen, just a little quick way to be able to check. All of G2 are back in the basement. All listed across the bottom of their player cards, of course. Just helps you get a good idea, a quick gauge as to what's going on with the Rome game. And there isn't one for G2, which isn't the end of the world here on Church and Arsenal. But it does mean Twisted Minds are going to have a lot of time to be able to now soften sight up, clear utility, gain vertical angles, use the hatches. G2, they really need to keep themselves out of those lines of fire. The last thing they want is to start losing bodies here, because then Twisted Minds will attack from a number of directions, which is what we're seeing. Presence in kitchen, presence main stairs, Chalet's at the top of blue stairs, so they are going to try and swamp G2 here from multiple directions.
Oh, I mean, they've got a bit of a lick onto Doki so far. P9 being so patient, waiting and start. Benja's low as well. They're yet to make their moves, though. I think they're waiting to see if G2 want to step onto them, peeking towards them, so they feel they can win out in those gunfights. But G2 are largely unmoving. They don't feel the need to do anything just yet. And as Jalad tries, well, Shaiko shuts him down.
Shaiko's so familiar with playing that position. We've seen him behind Generator time after time. P9 tries to work his way in from Oil Pit. He knows that Shaiko's somewhere, but not tight, does he? Yes, he does. Brilliant kill. Trix manages to get two. Doki and Alamau. Benja's there to fight back. Stompin taken out, and it's all up up to Benji. You picked up on him at the beginning of the game. Is he going to be able to close out a huge clutch 1v4? It would be 1v3. He stands at the moment, just misses his opportunity on the blitz. Ring around the roses. Guards finds a kill. And that's going to be a first and very good attack from Twisted Minds.
Yeah, wonderfully patient in how they approach it too. Because like I said, for a long time there, down to the last 45 seconds or so, they were waiting for G2 to come onto them, for them to take a gunfight, to challenge Twisted Minds. And they were just being patient, knowing that G2 aren't the type to sit and play Hyper Turtle. They do want to be aggressive. But when they pulled the trigger, Twisted Minds, you saw the 2 or 3 drop down in towards Kitchen Hatch along with the Blitz. We had Trix then rounding his way in towards Blue, who nets a 3k in the round. Very successful for him, and a great first attack for Twisted Minds.
Yeah, we could just see the confidence that Twisted Minds are playing with, and it's absolutely no surprise. They are a team that will continue to do that. They will run at you, they'll take gunfights, and they'll expect to win them. And 9 times out of 10, they will do. So, Twisted Minds go 1-0 up. Good start to the attack for them, and they will find themselves now attacking onto the top floor instead. It's going to be bathroom and gym. Just looking at that defensive lineup, no major surprises there. Doki on the Wamai, maybe a little bit of a change up from his usual lineups, but other than that, I think we're going to see, just looking at where Doki's placing those magnets, it looks like mainly around construction at the minute. I think the concern there just being supporting these players, yeah, one on red stairs as well, just supporting these players that are looking at that extended hold out into cash and CCTV.
There are 3 of them out here as well looking to cause some trouble. Now, of course, the question for Twisted Minds is, do you want to try and play through this or just go direct towards site? If you don't clear this extended hold, and the reason why it's such an important extended hold on this map is the window inside of CC looks out onto the entire south balcony of gym and bedroom. So you as attackers can't play there. The only options you have if you don't clear it is to go into Jacuzzi Wall and to go in towards Logi. So you have to fight this part of the map realistically. We've seen so many teams win and lose rounds on the defense or attack of this part of the map. We've seen absolute bloodbaths inside of here. But mainly for G2, the case is to try and waste as much utility as they can, waste a bit of time, and then they can afford to fall back. Disaster would look like losing 2 players out here.
Stompin's just playing behind the shield at top red stairs. They've tried to track him with the Deimos. I think it was Stompin they were trying to track, but he's got a mute jammer to help him stay in position. You can see the symbol just above his player card there, showing that he's currently in the radius of that jammer. Keeper barricades as well to prevent him being pushed from the breach, which has been opened up. Takes a little bit of damage in the exchange with Hasham there, but Stompin doesn't really need to do over much at the minute because he's just burning time away. If he can maintain his life, he's got support from Alamau as well. Benja manages to pick him up. Brilliant stuff from G2, but P9 is there for the trade, and Twisted Minds are starting to push forward and get a little bit more aggressive. Stompin taken down as well. What a round from P9 so far.
Because they've got this cut here, Tim, these players can't fall back. They've basically got to play for their life here, and that's exactly what Alamau is going to try and do. Will he work his way underneath? That would be an interesting twist to the tail here. Shaiko getting Shalad on the window and recovering Doki. That is a massive play. This could have all gone so wrong so quickly. But for now, they're going to try and force their way forward that little bit quicker. Guards going to the window. Trick still sat on the doorway. They're just going for it, Tim. Hell for leather. They want to fight this one. He's down to almost no HP, but Guards still finds a kill. Alamau finally rejoins the action, but it's too little too late. Trix carries on that dominance of round 1, and Twisted Minds get the second.
That was a great call from Twisted Minds there. You saw that sudden rush of aggression to get into sight, and it was because they knew that Alamai was hightailing it underneath to try and get back up main stairs, but it meant that they were 2v2, and one of them was a shield. It gives them an advantage. They'll also have seen the blood trail on the floor. They'll have known that one of those players had been downed. It was Doke, so only 20 HP. Great call from them to say just flood sight, and then we know exactly where Alamau is going to come from. They were ready for him up main stairs, took him out easily. Brilliant stuff, gets them the round 2-0.
Yeah, honestly, I've got a lot of respect for Guards. Again, there's a player that stepped away from this team. He was part of a 6-man roster for the longest period of time, but then with Dov taking the dominant spot, he then chose to step away and go and focus his attention elsewhere. And to get called back in as a sub and play the way that he has at this tournament so far, I don't feel like we're watching a sub that they're having to play around here, Tim. He's very much a central part of the team.
Yeah, this is it. I said coming into it, I think out of any of the subs that we've seen or any of those situations, I've always felt like Guards was going to be the most natural to step in here. Like you say, having been part of that 6-man roster, having played in these big moments, these big events with this team, with these players, it was never never going to take a huge job to get him up to speed, and we are seeing that because, like you say, brilliant numbers from him are being put up, real big contributions. So Twisted Minds 2-0 as we move to round 3, and right now G2 seriously on the back foot.
They've got to recover at some point, Tim. I feel if they lose this round, you'll probably have attack timeout immediately after the operator ban, because you can't be going down 3-0 on the defense of Clubhouse. One of our most well-loved, but also one of our most defender-sided maps in the map pool. Here with the Cash CC setup, it's very much tried and tested. Lots of anti-nade utility being set up inside a garage. Of course, Trick's getting focused on the main breach. That being open does make it very difficult to play inside of CC itself, and those who are sat on catwalk in a little bit more bother. Great scan from this Snake as well to identify where 3 players on G2 are. They'll know there's one lying near the window, which is Doki, and they've got to try and punish him.
It's a great example of the power of that Soliton radar. The scan comes in and he can see the entirety of site, including out to that little bit of catwalk as well. So it gets a real clear picture of everything that is going on inside at least, but also it's like the negative information. So there's 3 inside, so there's 2 off-site, and they know exactly where those 2 are likely to be. Shaco manages to pick up a Sham. Shaco does Shaco things, finds another with a headshot onto Jalad, and he's not for stopping anytime soon. Gets aggressive towards Tricks on the as well, but the next flashpoint for G2 is going to be this catwalk. Monty just trying to bully Doki at the minute, who doesn't want to overcommit.
Honestly.
Guards manages to take him down. P9 onto Alamo, and again, Twisted Minds, they've fought their way back into this round.
Shaco's done so much for them as well. The aggressive run down into Lounge to get a freebie onto Hersham. Turns back up front to the second onto Jalad, who had no idea how on earth he got into that position. But that should have been G2 very comfortably starting to slam the door shut. Instead, Twisted Minds have battled their way back in. They've got the garage control they needed. They've still got a smoke to play behind for P9. They've got all the tools they need to make this round work.
Just having that little bit of a pause as well. I like this, just trying to take stock of what they've got, reposition. P9 is going on to the breach. We've got Tricks up onto the rooftop, and Guards is just biding his time in catwalk, just trying to feed intel. He's actually got Shaiko in behind the bomb chassis at the minute. I'm not sure if you can see him. We can with the outline on the side of our screen.
Oh,
the
God.
Razor Bloom forces him forward. Shaiko forces him back, but Guards just keeps going. Gets the shield back up to protect from the Razor Bloom, but it's Benja who comes in with a huge double from Cash. He delivers, manages to shoot through the pair of them, and that's going to be G2 taking the round.
Guards is ridiculous, man. That's 2 separate 1v1s that he's
Ban
won.
the shield.
He's gone through the fire and the flames of 3 Razor Blooms going off around him, and was in a spot there where I thought there's no way they lose this now. If not for Benja really taking that round by the scruff of the neck, charging at the last 2 players to see G2 over the line. But it was scrappy, Tim. Let's not forget they had a 5v3 thanks to Shaiko and relied on a player going big at the end to actually get it done. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all by that Monty ban.
No, I just said it coming in, didn't I? Just ban the shield, ban it now. Look, it was beautiful play from Guards. I don't know how much of it we might get to see here on the replays, but the bit that I'm thinking about, that was nice, but the bit that I'm really thinking about was here and just a bit before that. So he comes through it there, beautiful. So he comes through the window, the Razor Bloom activates and he's got the trigger. He goes forward, Shaco's in his face, he drops back, but his positioning is perfect because it's not close enough to the Razor Bloom to damage him. He gets the kill onto Shaco whilst he's got the red indicator, and then throws the shield up in front of him to prevent the damage. It was just brilliant stuff.
If he managed to get a knock onto Benja and then finish him off to win the round, that would have gone down as probably one of the greatest Monty plays you will ever see in Siege. It would have been spectacular. And my heart bleeds for him that it doesn't go that way, and now he hasn't got a chance to do it again because the Monty's been taken away. He's still going to sit on shields. He goes over to playing on the Blitz instead. And on the other side, Stompin jumps back on towards that clash. They need a response, a way to slow things down here, because when Twisted Minds get moving, they're pretty terrifying, to be fair to them. They're very quick.
Yeah, they really are. We know this about this team. We often talk about their intensity, the chaos they create, and the way that they are willing to, take those chances, get up in people's faces. They are a very decisive team. I don't want to just keep writing it off as, they're aggressive, they run at people. They're decisive a lot of the time. We saw it in round 2 with that attack onto Gym and Bedroom, recognising Alamo's underneath. We've got 120 HP inside. Now's the time to flood, and they go with it. This is not just random random aggression like, yeah, throw it at the wall and see what sticks. It is about that decisiveness, and I really, really like what I'm seeing from Twisted Minds. So, Gods, he goes quickly into bar. Hatch is actually soft, so that's going to be pretty easy for them to open up. The Ram is in position as well, and again, if you have a look at the bottom left of your screen, everybody from G2 back inside his sight. Twisted Minds all the time in the world. I'm interested to see this from G2 because it really didn't benefit them last time they defended this site. You know, I'd maybe have liked a little bit more of a presence around the map. Burn a bit of time. Don't give Twisted Minds all these opportunities.
They've been somewhat withdrawn so far, but I think they're trying to rely on their ability to win out in the execute rather than strictly surprise them off on the roam. And I guess when the game is attacker leaning as it is now, you know, I spoke to Doki about this a few days ago, and he's like, yeah, the game is very attacker favored right now, and Snake has made that even more apparent. You're just inviting trouble if you're trying to play out on the roam by yourself. So instead, digging in deep to the most defender-sided site in the game doesn't sound like a bad deal to me overall. Either way, 90 seconds in, things are looking very, very reminiscent of round 1 overall, Tim. Just Noah's Army this time round playing inside of blue.
Jalad's going to get aggressive. Manages to find 1. Make it 2. Surely not. No. Doki shuts him down. P9, however, there for the trade. And again, Twisted Minds just bringing this brand of aggression, this decisiveness, opportunity spotting. They go in there and get the situation in hand. Gods manages to plant 3v2. Twisted Minds, it looks like another round for them at this point.
I've long said for G2, sometimes they'll do things and they look like absolute geniuses. Sometimes they'll do something and they look like morons. And I'd say the same applies to Twisted Minds. Jalad just freely walking down that corridor and picking up 2 kills. That should never be allowed to happen. But he does the things that teams don't expect, and it has netted his team a massive advantage. With him clearing out everything going on around Gen, it meant they could drop and go for the plant. G2 are down 3-1, Tim. Twisted Minds are looking ferocious on the attack.
Tactical timeout is going to be called by G2, so Romalio will have the opportunity to get some input here. It's interesting, where we saw a graphic recently about the effectiveness of timeouts and which coaches had kind of the most success rate after timeouts, and Romalio was very high up on the list. I think he was 2nd or 3rd. I do apologise if I'm wrong in remembering that, but Romalio, yeah, does great work in these tactical timeouts. We've heard them before. There's been kind of confusion about, you know, he does offer a lot of information in a short space of time, but G2 have always spoken very highly as a team of those timeouts and how he will give them a blueprint for the next 2 or 3 rounds to get it won and try and turn things around.
Okay. Recovery effort needed, boys. You can't really afford to be losing these next couple. This is what I mean, just in such an aggressive position. It's normally a death sentence walking down those blue stairs. You're stuck in a relatively long corridor with no easy way back, and a swing on so you can be enough to see you out. But Shaiko, I think, was distracted by what was happening inside of site itself. And you saw the potential turnaround from there. Wonderful stuff. Once again, opportunity spotting, benefiting Twisted Minds. Up to gym and bedroom we go. And P9's hovering over that Amaro. I don't normally like talking about hovers, Tim. It always comes back to bite us. But you see an Amaro, and you just got to consider the hijinks and crazy antics they've got in their mind. Yeah, I shouldn't do that anymore.
It's gone too far.
That's my yearly reminder not to do it.
Yeah. So excited about the Amaru that is not going to be played.
Yeah.
So where are we going? Gym and bedroom is going to be the defensive side for round 5. If we have a look back to the last time it was played, round 2, Twisted Minds got the win. It was that round that I've spoken about where they took that aggressive approach in the 2v3 to get themselves into sight. It worked perfectly and got that final kill onto Alamo. So there was a big battle around Red Stairs and Cash, as we would expect. G2 heavily committed to it. 3 players were out there, Benja, Alamo and Stompen, all trying to hold on to that area. This time around, it's a little bit lighter, and I think Twisted Minds are going to get themselves in there fairly quickly. Although saying that, Stompen is in CCTV, with the clash, so is on hand to then. He will probably, I think, drop back towards that top red position again. Looks like there's a mute jammer there again. Yes, there is.
My only thing in the last time we were here was it was the shield that managed to get onto the door between sites that then cut off those that were at top red. And that really then started to cause a bit of a headache as Alamo had to then run downstairs to get back, to try and get back towards site. And as we saw, that was when Trixton guards just hit tight, won the 2 versus 2, and ultimately went on to win the round. So G2 have got to be mindful of being split again where they don't have a safe way back towards site. Guards already asking questions at the door here, even though they haven't got full control of what's going on. He's still playing on that south balcony. I said earlier, doing things that others don't expect. That's kind of what they're going for here. Like, Stomping's the kind of guy you'd look at and say, okay, it's his chance to be able to challenge on towards guards. But he's under pressure from 2 or 3 players here that it ain't quite that simple.
All a little bit quiet for G2 at the minute, just having to kind of wait for Twisted Minds to make a move. For Shom still raining around underneath with the Deimos. We see the pot shots coming up through the floor. Not going to do any good for the time being. They continue to try to push towards these top red stairs. Stomping in position with the clash. We've got him supported by Benja, and they're not really managing anything for this clearance. Benja continues to have a great game. Threads the needle with that nitro out of the breach. Picks up his man, and that's diffuser down as well. It is recovered by Jalad, but 5 versus 4, advantage G2, and we've got 55 seconds left to go.
Sham's really got to do something from below, and no, he gets finished off by Stomping 2 and his march up red. Really thought there on the Deimos he'd be able to get something done, but those mute jammers have been a real headache. They can't get a track onto anybody. They can't kill them through the floor. G2 showing how to pull off this extended hold, and look at this. They're leaving Jalad very much alone here to hold down inside of CC while the rest of the team focus on these south windows. Risky, but if it works out, it could be pretty good.
The problem is that Jalad
Never mind.
Yeah,
oh, Benja!
Beautiful from Benja. Double kill with the shot. Flawless round for G2. The problem there for Twisted Minds was Jalad had the diffuser in hand, so there were always going to come a point where he had to move away towards site. And having not dealt with that extension, all that was going to happen was Benja was going to find the kills one way or another. As it is, he found them sooner rather than later. G2 off the back of that timeout. If you remember, I said Romalio is one of the coaches with the best numbers for success after timeouts. He does it again. He delivers. G2 get around. It's 2-3 now.
Attackers need to locate
okay. If it recovered to 3-3, they'll feel they got away from it lightly. Twisted Minds probably will feel a little bit robbed that they were up 3-1 and couldn't get to a 4-2. Could still build to that point. Cash CC going to be where we step to next. And once more, the focus should be around, I was going to say around Warehouse, but look at this. We've got 3 players extending out towards the west here, in towards gym and bedroom. So mirror available to drop down onto that single wall, but it doesn't mean you can't play out here. It just means maybe it's not as defensible as it might otherwise be. So a lot being invested on this gym bedroom extension. I imagine not a whole lot inside of the garage, which I think with the Monty being banned away makes some sense. They're mainly worried about giving up free ground to a Monty. Without a shield on side, things get a little bit harder.
Stomping just bringing along the DMR this time. Not too much kind of heavy usage of the DMRs that I've noticed from G2 so far. It has become a little bit of a utility in its own right as the DMR. Some teams playing them a lot more than others. And we're going to immediately have that wall breach. So a good start from Twisted Minds, nice and quick. That's going to make it impossible now for anybody to rotate through CCTV mostly. Shaiko and Doki going to continue with the Jaeger Wamai combo to try and hold on to Catwalk, but Doki's actually going to drop himself away and move over there, back into lounge, try and get up red stairs, and that's basically what you force the players to do by opening up that breach so early.
So you're a little bit lighter on the hold overall. They've only got the ADSs down there, plus a couple of magnets, I think, whereas before we had, of course, Keepers down there and other tools to help assist. Instead, all that has been invested, like we said, on that gym and bedroom side, where Twisted Minds are matching them. They are pushing in from this side and looking to contend. So, about 60 seconds in, you can very clearly see there's 2 or 3 players now all starting to square up. Tricks on towards the Logi hatch. And 2 out here on Jacuzzi Plat itself. 1 more down towards the gym window because they really want to get a push on. Hasham yet to get himself a kill in this game, down at 0-5. Narrowly evading away another one of those traps as the first phone call comes out. And that should be a little bit of a trigger for Twisted Minds to start moving forwards.
Yeah, they're going to start pressuring onto Alamo very, very soon. He's the player for G2 that we see there. Just near Logistics Arch. Stomping gives himself away. Just trying to crouch across that window. He was taken down by Gelada. Alamo manages to get one. Doki as well. 3 versus 3 as it all shakes down. Just having a look at how that means the chips lie. Doki is inside of Cash at the minute. Shaiko still holds Catwalk and Benja in bedroom. So you've got to feel that G2 have come away the best from that exchange. They are still holding much of the top floor and those power positions. Benja decides now is the time to Scarper, but it's the same window. You can't do that, G2.
Can't lose the second player to the same position. That's a communication issue there, really showing its pain. Gelada's barely moved his feet all round long. He's still sat in this corner. and G2 can't power onto me like a 2 versus 1. They don't control construction anymore. Chalet going to keep them asking questions, though, constantly reminding them that he's here and nearby, and Doki gets his man. As I say it, that he can't get into construction, Tim, that's exactly what he does. A little bit of a misstep by P9 and Hasham.
Yeah, we got a beautiful view there of exactly how the battle lines are drawn. We've got P9 and Hasham both on that bedroom and construction side. G2,
seconds.
I think, realise that now and just need to hold their angles. They know that all the pressure is coming from one direction. However, there comes the track. There comes the kill. P9 onto Shaiko. Next track onto Doki. 9 seconds left to go. Hasham peeks the corner, finds his man, and Twisted Minds get the 4-2 that you have to feel they deserved on attack.
Absolutely. I think given how those first 4 rounds went, they do deserve to have this scoreline coming out of the half. And that round especially, it was a bit of a back and front one. When we were down with 60 seconds left and G2 had got Diffuser down at top main, I thought this is looking great. But Tim, let's have a listen in to the half.
We're gonna change the Benja and Cal. Cal gonna play the in the cash push. Cal gonna play the ace, and Benja gonna play the snake in the windows. Okay. And for the direct, everybody remember the direct also. Okay. Shaco play demos below. Doki play ace in the jacuzzi. Cal play the Blackbeard like in jacuzzi or office. And like Benja snake in the windows again. And Zaki in the server bridge. Okay. For the CC, what I spoke about is like they always play for the launch hold, so like we can kill them or we can like just the master push, okay? And then like we do the master push like with Cal and also Shaco playing for below control because like then like Cal can book like the guys like inside the cache.
No, but we said I can play for to kill the guy launch first round, right?
Yeah. It's the 2 options I spoke about.
Yeah, okay.
And for basement like remember like we need to see how it's going to, okay?
لما نكون جيم نروح ويندوات سريع بيقدروا يبيكوا ويندوات حلو. اذا كنا فوق تحت ومرومين راح يجوا يدخلوا بار وستوك سريع وعادي انهم يسحبوا علينا وينزلوا السايت. اوكي يا اخوان. ايه خلينا نكون جاهزين للهوريزنتال بشات الهوريزنتال سواء جيم او بيسمنت. تمام بس هيكون جاهزين لهاي البشات السريعه الميد فلور او الجيم الويندوز.
اوكي شباب احنا ندري انهم يلعبون لعب سريع ولعب همجي صح الدخلات الغريبه. ابي مهمه من كل واحد فيكم يروح يفتح اي ويندو يفتح كذي بانش هول يفتح باركيت صغير. اوكي
CCTV, I think we can break their steps in the with the mirror in the termite, you know. And Benja Master in the end of the round after the team get the garage, he like to go for bedroom. Okay. Team is default. After they get CCTV, they go open jacuzzi and they want to finish the round in the gym. So if we want to beat someone, beat the guy in the jacuzzi 2v1. Remember, guys, 3, 2, 1, play my contacts, look the cams, and try to identify what they're gonna do. Let's go, guys.
يدكم يلا let's go. Aban's default صح Monty and
Obviously, we don't really hear an awful lot from is Daigo, the coach of Twisted Minds. And when I spoke to one of the other staff behind the scenes, I said, the final question was, anything else you'd like to add? And they said, Daigo's the GOAT. Need to make sure some more chats. I'd love to hear more about obviously how Twisted Minds work, because to come out with 4 attacks against one of the favourites to win the tournament is no small feat.
It is not. We've got to remember the map choice, of course. G2 certainly not huge fans of Clubhouse, as we know. But look, that's not like in Clubhouse or not. That's just a silly mistake from G2, especially when a second player in Benja then dies from the same window. You know, that comm should have been clear that we've got somebody playing on that construction window. And it just, the information either hasn't stuck or they thought that 30 seconds later maybe he wasn't there anymore. But yeah, one way or another, G2 certainly offering opportunities up to Twisted Minds, who are more than happy to take them. As I always say, a mistake is only a mistake when it is punished. So 4-2 we stand coming into this second half. It's going to be Twisted Minds moving onto the defence, and they will kick things off as expected down in Church and Arsenal.
We will see, and of course a reminder, once this map is over and done with, we step into the halls of Chalet. Another map that G2 aren't big fans on, Tim. They've only won it once in the last year, and that was against Team Secret. They have lost it 6 times in that period. So I'm a little bit nervous for them, but maybe they know something that we don't, because equally, Twisted Minds haven't won it in the last 2 years. It's been a long old time. Granted, the team has changed quite a lot. The roster, of course, was moved over from Falcons over the last year or so. Prior to that, it would have been a very different roster. So take from that what you will. All I'm saying is, if Twisted Minds can get this done, dare I say, we could be looking at G2 being 0-2.
Well, I mean, on my predictions, on my Ubisoft predictions.
Who did you pick? You picked G2?
So you don't pick by individual game. So on the Ubisoft official ones, you pick, for this phase, it was picking who will go through first and second qualifiers, who will go through third, fourth, fifth qualifiers, and who will go through 6, 7, 8 qualifiers.
Got it.
I think that was the split. But basically, you pick where teams will qualify. And I had G2 in the 3, 4, 5 bracket, so that would mean they would go through 2 and 1 and then win. Yeah. So
they've got to lose a game at some point, and you're quietly happy for that.
What? I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. I just want a skin, Des. I just want the skin.
This is the kind of stuff that actually really bit Weibo a bit yesterday, I felt, was Hisham being super aggressive onto external doorways and windows. He gets Shaiko off the rip. He's gone. A trade does come back onto Jalad elsewhere. So it's far from the end of the world, Tim, but they've lost to Deimos here. And that is a stinger, given he was one of their crucial intel operators.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's also Shaiko.
Definitely. We've seen a decent bit of work done by the Deimos in the first half. So ultimately, it's a tough one to stomach for Shaiko going by the wayside. A little bit quiet from him as well. 4 and 6, not bad, but we did see, I think, 2 or 3 kills in one round.
Second highest rated player at the tournament so far.
He's been doing phenomenal, and this is what I'm saying. We're now seeing G2. Like I said, Clubhouse maybe isn't a map that they love. We've spoken about that, but Shaiko has been great for them so far. A little bit quiet today, and you feel like if they could just get that bit extra out of him, but a bit extra comes out of Hisham as he manages to take Doki down. Benja's there for the trade, 3v3. G2 are doing well at keeping themselves in touch with the manpower. Often it's not like kind of being overrun. They're just not getting those kind of small wins that they need. But at the minute, Alamau trying to get himself inside of sight and do a little bit of bullying.
How fast these guys are at reacting terrifies me every time I see it. That was a pixel that Hisham was holding that changed colour for all of maybe 100 milliseconds. And in that time, he's clicked, he's got the headshot, he's got the kill, and he's backed away. Lightning fast reflexes. P9 onto Stomping, onto Benja. Putting up the kind of numbers we were seeing from him yesterday. He's now 9 and 4. Alamau with it all to do inside the dirt. 1 and 5, not going so good himself, admittedly. And I don't suspect that's going to change in this round unless we see something truly special. Yeah,
P9's having a hell of a tournament so far, and it continues. They know exactly where Alamau is now. He gets the first, needs to be careful. 1v3 becomes 1v2. Behind that shield, he could have done some work, but Guards says, I'm the better shield player, actually. Alamau, I think we will put a stop to this. Manages to find the headshot, and that's going to be Twisted Minds 5-2. G2 all at C on Clubhouse at the minute.
Up to 5 and 2. Well, that suddenly starts to make things very interesting. Guards in chat. For you, free courses, Alamau. DM me. Imagine being subbed in to play in the tournament and you got a world champion sat across from you just like, yeah, you want some free lessons, mate? I'll do this part-time. Not even part-time. This is a one-off for me.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Round 8. Round 8 is going to see us move up to the top floor, gym and bedroom, where Twisted Minds will continue. I think it's almost GG go next at this point.
It's starting to feel it, isn't it?
It really does. I don't. D2, are they the sort of team that can turn it around? Yes, of course they are. They've got great players. Are they showing me anything in this game on Clubhouse that suggests that they are going to do that? Or have got the capability on Clubhouse to do that? No, to be honest, they're not. So right now, I expect Twisted Minds to just keep controlling this game and keep rolling from here. Gym and bedroom, they've got mirror available, so the Jacuzzi breach is going to be really difficult to use. We've got a great spread on this defense from Twisted Minds. They've extended out as we would expect. Hasham's on red stairs, supported by guards. Got Jalad out there as well. G2 are going to have their work cut out, trying to get cash and CCTV under their control.
There's about 34.6 million channel points about to be lost on this one, so if it carries on, quite naturally, all of you backed up on G2. A lot of fans in the chat, no doubt. Twisted Minds showing how it's done. How to unsettle some world champions. Wonderful stuff. Well, here we go then. G2 focus out towards Jacuzzi for a couple of their players. Also got Stomping working his way in towards construction through the single wall, as you can see on your screen right now. So a lot of the map control they're seeking here to make sure they can move on through comfortably and start to get themselves set up on those south windows. It's Benja, as you can see here, currently watching into construction. They know that there are players hanging around here. It's Guards, P9 and Hisham all out on the extension towards Cash and CC. Doesn't mean that's going to distract the rest of G2, who are focused on getting this site opened up.
At the moment, yes, all the pressure and attention from G2 coming on that far side, really. Stompin is trying to work his way in towards CCTV, but the majority of utility being expended around Jacuzzi. Alamau managing to find tricks, but Jalad just will not stop Des. He won't quit. Manages to get 2, and that's the Blackbeard off the board again. Big loss with Alamau going. The shield is lost. The impetus of the strike, the tip of the spear, the one that you want to push in and create that space, is now not going to be able to. Stompin holding his time, but they're not going to peak there. They've absolutely no reason to give you anything. G2 need to start taking the lead here. They need to be the ones pushing the intensity.
I'll tell you what, our observers are on it today because Jalad has had 3 2Ks in this game, and we have caught every single one in the perfect moment. It just seems whenever we cut to him, that's his moment to go big. And that is another one like that where he's just completely torn apart by elements of G2. Hasham into another. Started really quiet in this game, but is quickly starting to play catch-up here on the defensive side. Stomping, good for 1 onto Jalad, shuts down someone who could have been a hero in the round. Now chasing down the next. Stomping, converting into a down onto P9 as Shaiko gets the finish. A 2v4 turned to a 2v2.
The big problem is that Guards and Hasham have got the diffuser down on the ground. They will know that's outside of the breach, so they know that G2 have to play for the kills here. That can factor into how they decide to hold this. I think Shaiko, I was going to say I thought he might have gone up onto the roof to try and head over and get that diffuser, but G2 have made the call. They're going for kills. Stomping, he takes a lot of damage. Hasham, Guards just holding on, keeping themselves in cover as much as they can. Hasham finds the first. It's Stomping, low health, cut down by Guards. Twisted Minds win another and put themselves onto map. Point against G2.
Hasham seems to be everywhere, Tim. He's involved in the entries and he's involved in the end of round defense alongside Guards. Twisted Minds up 6-2. They are dominating G2 on club. And like I said, I'm a little bit concerned going in towards Chalet, Tim. I know G2 picked it. They probably feel that they've got Twisted Minds' number. But I wouldn't be 100% sure given how this one has played out so far. Like I said, Jalad again just landing some brilliant shots. Same as he did down in blue when they were attacking in towards there on towards Shaiko. He just doesn't seem to be able to stop it. Every time we cut to him, he's hitting these unbelievable shots.
It's been a great team effort from Twisted Minds. When you look across there, 6, 5, 6, 9, 7, all very, very level across. P9, of course, having those couple of big rounds that just puts him a little bit ahead of things, but otherwise, everybody getting involved, and to a degree, the same on the other side from G2 as well. You know, they're all putting up some numbers at least, but just not really being enough. Twisted Minds in full control of this clubhouse. 6-2 now, G2. 4 rounds in a row required. Impossible, no? Unlikely. Absolutely.
All right, this could be the end of it then. Let's see how we go for round 9. Cash EC going to be where Twisted Minds set up their defense. In fact, G2 are going to win any site. It should be this one. It should be the offsite, but as we know, nothing is guaranteed. Alamal moving across on towards the Ash. Had enough of running around on shields at this point, but Guards looking a bit cheeky here up against the mirror. Now comes the Salma, and that'll see that one off. Going to see for it off actually here as well. And sure enough, it still goes through. Unfortunate, I guess.
Going to see that breach then. That's step 1 done.
Not fully, though.
No, it doesn't matter. They don't need to walk through it. That breach is all about just holding the line towards Cash Door where Jalad is playing at the moment. You just want to stop defenders being able to rotate in. So you get that open. That clears a nice line of sight for you inside of CCTV. You then take Catwalk, which is now the next attempt. Nice and easy. Doki gets Catwalk. So if they can get somebody in underneath to hold Lounge here, G2, they've got everything they need in order to put a plant down. However, Guards is getting a little bit aggressive here. This is what you shouldn't be able to do with that breach open. Hasham manages to get Benja, Jalad onto Shaiko. And again, even with G2 taking the ground that they need to take, taking the control that will allow them the space to put the diffuser down, it still just doesn't seem to be successful. It doesn't seem to hold Twisted Minds at bay. Doki does manage to find Guards, but then cut down by Jalad. Beautiful shot from the Scopos.
He is absolutely unplayable this game, Jalad. So hard to stop. Tricks him for one more. And now Stomping has got to go nuclear. He's got to find 3 in the round. 2 more to go. Or G2's hopes of getting anything on Clubhouse are going to be over.
Yeah, it certainly looks like that could be the case. Taking out the bulletproof cam here, Stomping. It gives him a little bit of an edge maybe, but Just tries to play with that sound of the diffuser, takes out the mirror window. He needs somebody to peek him. He needs to play this so that he can bait them out and try and get that attention. They're on both sides. We've seen him do it before. He downs one, and now it's just him versus Trix. Trix on red stairs. He can finish that man and think about possibly putting this diffuser down. He's going to go for it, but then he's going to bounce off. This is all about the bait. It's all about the switch. Who will come out on top? 1 versus 1 Trix. He's thinking about going for the attack. Sees his man, hits the arm, the flash is there, and it's a ring around the roses. Stomping can't see his man, Des.
Trix has played it so well. Full white screen tucks into the back corner. They know where each other are. It's a case of who moves first. But Stomping has to do something, but no! Trix shuts down the king. And map 1 goes the way of Twisted Minds.
It doesn't just go their way, Des. It's convincing. It is destruction of G2, who never really looked competitive against Twisted Minds there. 1-0 they now lead in this matchup. They are 1 map away from qualification.
They'll be our first team qualifying to the main stage, and I guarantee you very few had Twisted Minds being down as their first, but they've made one hell of a run of it so far. What's one more team to breeze through? Back after a short break.
I'm breaking necks and I'm wilding out. Throw my elbows up and my money out. Cause I came to get down, so let's run it up. I'ma keep it going till there ain't nothing left. I'ma keep it going, I'ma keep it going, I'ma keep it going till there ain't nothing left.
G2 being handed a brutal defeat on Clubhouse. Twisted Minds taking a 7-2 victory. They are just now one map away from making it to our live stage on Friday. And Twisted Minds, Tim, have now got to go to a showdown on Chalet, G2's map pick, but a map they've only won once over the last year.
And I don't want to pile the pressure on G2, but the last time we saw them play it was just back in April against Shifters. You know what the result is?
What was the result, Tim?
7-0 Shifters.
Doesn't sound good, that, Tim.
Dear, oh dear. No, it's a funny pick from G2. It's like fourth preference for them, so it's kind of middle of the pack for them, but still, such a bad recent result on there. I feel like I've always kind of watched G2 struggle a little bit on Chalet, and now everything rides on it.
It's crazy, isn't it? But we'll see what happens when we get into it. Just to kind of recap the tournament that we're thinking about it. Again, FaZe, G2 and Furia are probably top 3 to win this whole thing. We're going to see FaZe play next. They play in the next best of 3 against Wildcard. The winner of that goes to main stage on Friday. G2 are struggling here, and Furia face elimination in their best of 3 on the B stream later today. It has been wild.
Yeah, it's this is why we love Swiss FaZe 2, because it's just chaos, and it's going to continue.
It's never going to stop, and I hear our map is almost ready, so we'll jump into it in just a second. If this is a 2-0 to Twisted Minds, well, there'll be a lot of disappointed fans, I can imagine, out there, Tim, but a lot of jubilant ones on the side of Twisted Minds, who can really show the world something special here. More of you now twisting towards supporting Twisted Minds, almost double the share they had, Tim, in the previous map. Let's see if they can get it done here 2-0, or if we need to go to Cafe as a decider.
I've lied, Des. I've lied. I pressed the wrong button. It was Twisted Minds who got beat 7-0 by Shifters. G2 last lost it against Falcons, so still not amazing, but that was back in November. But yeah, there we go. Twisted Minds, it actually is 7-0. So I think that's probably why G2 have picked it here. You know, Twisted Minds.
Opportunity spotting.
Yeah, it's more, we're going to pick a really bad map for you than worry about picking a good map for us.
Absolutely.
Is what G2 have looked at here. But it is always a roll of the dice, because coming into an international tournament like this, I'm sure that Twisted Minds have been aware of that, and they're going to have been looking at Chalet.
I remember this game, actually. Yeah. Shifters were on the defense. They won all 6, and I think in all but 2 of their defensive rounds, they had a player dropping a 3K or a 4K. They went absolutely nuclear, and Freck had a wonderful 1v1 to close out round 6 and give them the win that they got. I imagine in Twisted Minds' mind, it sounds weird to say, they're looking at that and thinking, it's a thing of the past. Don't worry about it. We know we approached that game wrong. This is going to be very different.
Okay. Bans come in. We've got, I think, a little bit of a tech issue that we'll just get dealt with. But the bans were Monty and Blitz, so a double shield ban coming in from G2, not wanting to deal with guards anymore, I think, is the message there. We will see whether guards just picks up Blackbeard instead. That could be the case. And then after round 3, we'll probably see no more of that. Azami and Mira will be the bans from Twisted Minds. Pretty standard for Chalet.
Yeah, nothing too crazy there at all. And as you say, those bans coming in towards guards, you know, I think in any other team, you'd look at their subs coming in and say, right, what does he play? Let's ban it away. And that would just suddenly make that player very uncomfortable, having to play things that they wouldn't normally step into. But I think in guards' case, as you've said, it's kind of impossible to ban away every shield. Yeah, looking back to Virtus Pro from last year, when shields were well and truly dominant, they still are now, but we're seeing a lot more info-heavy lineups coming out instead. They would turn towards playing the Fuse as a shield. And in fact, we saw that on one of our casts yesterday. Not all use the gadget just because you have the shield on side. And so I think you may even see at some point the Blackbeard coming out, as you've said, and if we really have to, go towards the Fuse as an alternative.
Looks like it's Shaiko with a little bit of an issue here. Doki trying to assist, much like he did with Shaiko's interview yesterday as well.
Yes, he did, yes.
Building quite the duo there.
I'm starting to see more and more players have a little bit of fun in the background of these interviews now. We saw it coming out of Shopify Rebellion earlier on as well. Spoit having his moment. Ambi letting out a big cheer on his march on through. It was all good fun. And of course, a reminder, we're only on day 2. It only gets more and more mental from here as we ramp on up. Like, this is the end of our best of 1s after today, I believe, and we go then into exclusively best of 3s to see who it is that makes it through or who goes home.
Well, this is it. We start making decisions then, don't we? That's the big thing. You know, everything from here on, this game and the B stream onwards, everything is a decision. It's either a team qualified or a team eliminated, one way or the other. So in this game on the A stream, you're going to see the qualification games, so the winners will go through to that next phase on the B stream. That's where we've got the elimination games every single time. Somebody will go home. Big couple of days coming up for Salt Lake City and the major.
And just in case you're curious as to what that schedule is over the next few days, as you've heard now, we're in our first best of 3 here. The B stream is as well. We'll then have another best of 3 after this, as will the B stream. Tomorrow, there are 3 best of 3s per stream. And then on the final day of Swiss stage, which is on Wednesday, we will have 3 best of 3s played out on a single stream. And that'll be those that are in the 2-2 brackets in for a scrap to secure those final few spots in our live stage finals on Friday, on which we have 4 best of 3s in our quarterfinals, 2 semi-finals on Saturday, and then, as you will well know and love, a best of 5 grand final on Sunday, including the season reveal. I've not actually seen anything about the new season now I think about it. Not even a teaser.
No.
I haven't been looking, to be fair. Normally I'll go and check them all out, but I've deliberately kept away from this one.
I've done that for years, as you know. I've done that for years. I always try and avoid them because, I mean, I go all the way back to, you know, going to events as a fan, you know, being in...
Is Doki tech support, by the way? What's going on?
Certainly looks like it. You know, being in Montreal 2019 before we cast anything, being there as a fan and watching the reveals live, and so I still love to get that vibe if I can.
I've heard we've got a quick Leakerfac interview to fill a little bit of time, so let's go and have a listen to that now.
I'm here with EFAC for some rapid fire questions. First one, which of your teammates could you beat in a 1v1?
Everyone.
If you could trade places with anyone in the world for a day, who would you pick?
Suzanne.
If you had to play one map in Siege for every game for the rest of your life, what map?
Bank.
Would you listen to heavy metal or country music for the rest of your life?
Hard one. Heavy metal.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Go back on time.
Oh, what did you want to be when you grew up?
What I want to be?
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Like what I wanted to be, basically? When
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, a success man.
A success man?
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. What is your favorite thing about this team? Last question.
The vibes.
Thank you.
If I speak, I'm in trouble. I heard that and I was like, the vibes? You sure? I think Enterprise have got it going on over there. See from that game earlier on today. Sometimes the vibes have got to be a little bit higher inside that Falcon side. Doki really is.
Doki continues to try. I'm quite enjoying watching this this new arc for Doki from player to technician. I'm here for it.
I mean, at some point, I guess you've got to retire from being a player to find a career. It turns out IT support might be his one.
Imagine in 10 years' time, we've got SI 2038 and Doki's down at the stage. He's sorting the PCs out.
Hauling a PC on stage with one broke down.
Love it.
I tell you what, though, he'd be fantastic at testing a setup to make sure it all works.
Yeah.
Because he'd tell you absolutely everything that is wrong.
Oh, you've got your DPI wrong here.
Oh, that's
DPI's all wrong.
I was going to say, Doki every few months seems to go through a sense crisis. He changes it all around. He's always on Twitter like, oh, what's the best sense everyone's playing with now? And he'll try something, then he'll try something else a few months later. I don't actually know how long he's been on his current one. We'll have to ask him and find out. But it's been a bit of a rollercoaster ride for Doki over the years on what sense he plays on.
I haven't changed my sense or my resolution in 7 years, ever. Basically, I just don't change it. I know what I like.
Respect.
And I know what I like, and I know what I'm bad with, and I keep it.
I tweak mine quite a lot, to be fair. Always trying to find the sort, because I don't have a background of like growing up playing FPS games. I play like RTSs, MOBAs, that sort of thing. And in those games, like you don't tend to use like big sweeping arm movements like you do in FPS games. And that was a really hard transition to try and get through. And even today, I'm still just like, I can't do this.
You just need to go with the reaps.
You know, I did try. I was curious to say, okay, maybe if he can do it, maybe it'll work for me. No. I'm just like, I'm doing 360s for fun at that point. I'm just like, I've got no idea what's going on. Oh, it is terrifying how good these guys are, regardless
there
of
we
what
go.
settings
Doki's got the issue sorted. Look.
What can I say? That's a true teammate, that is.
There you go. He's got it done. We can, I think, look at getting into this game now. Certainly seems that way. There is a flurry of action in both rooms. We are indeed ready to go. So let's get into Chalet. Just a reminder for anybody who's turned up, top of your screen will tell you, but we played Clubhouse for the first map, Twisted Minds. It was their choice, and they won 7-2. We've had one of those map bans where both teams have kind of picked a bad map for the other team. So Twisted Minds picking Clubhouse, which G2 don't like playing, and G2 picking Chalet, which has not been the greatest success for Twisted Minds. As I said, last time we saw them play, it was a 7-0 loss against Shifters back in April. So who comes out victorious here? If Twisted Minds get the win, they qualify through to the next phase. If G2 get it, we move on to Cafe.
It's kind of as we said earlier on, I don't think G2 choose to come to a map they don't have the best record or success on. Clubhouse, their 9th, aka their lowest preference map. Chalet, 8th. It's not one they often try and pick. They often ban it away. But it doesn't mean they can't play it, Tim. And very fair chance, as we've already said, they saw what happens to Twisted Minds and think they can replicate it. I hope to God they're right. Otherwise, this will have been an absolute disaster for one of the favourites to win the entire tournament. Let's get ourselves started then. Kitchen Dining to kick things off. And P9 has already got himself established in and downstairs. Of course, you can't shoot through the ceiling down here, but he can come poking up West Main at the right time and look to support the rest of his team when they come for a site hit. But there is an extension, much like we saw back on Club, down towards the southwest part of this map around Library, around Mez, that first needs to be dealt with.
A little bit of a peek around the corner to open up the other barricade for Trix. Didn't want to be exposing himself too much to Library box. How about this? A little bit of a walk up blue stairs from Shaiko. Alamo getting himself out onto off his balcony aggressively as well. It's too easy. He had to get, I thought for a second P9 wasn't going to come away with that. Manages to get the kill, but as you say, Stomping there to back his teammate up. Managed to get the trade, 1 for 1. Deimos off the board. I would argue it's probably a little bit more valuable than that Fenrir.
And Stomping's now slipped away into the bowels of the map as well, down into the basement, which is the last place really Twisted Minds want to start investing a lot of resource in trying to clear out. But I fear they're going to have no choice, or at the very least, they've got to keep tabs on him as he's now coming up the library stairs, looking to challenge on towards main door. Flash is coming out from guards here. Who knows that Stomping is there? So although they don't know exactly where he is, Tim, they know that he's downstairs. They know that he can pop up. It's like a game of whack-a-mole trying to deal with him at this point.
Gelada's now got himself established. Alamo, however,
not very established,
will unestablish him. Alamo just going in there, getting a good aggressive fight. Kitchen Dining, of course, is the site here, and there's very little map control coming in from Twisted Minds, which I guess is kind of what we'd expect, given that we know this isn't a favourite map of theirs. So Shom does take down Doki, and they are now starting to get that verticality available above the site. Nitro goes out, but unsuccessful. Does not find its mark. Trix just takes a little bit of damage, but nothing more. And right now, it's Benja that is looking to hold on inside a kitchen, Stomping inside of Dining now as he's moved back. Alamo is the real kind of joker card here for G2. Just roaming around on that Oryx, but looks like he's heading back to site as well.
I was going to say, if they'd read into that one and realised 2 players were offside, that could have been a great chance for Twisted Minds to just barrel into sight there and try and get the diffuser down, similar to what they did back on Clubhouse on the gym and bedroom hit when it was Trix and Guards who pulled off a wonderful 2v3 to win that round out. But here, it stalled out a little bit and all the G2 players are back in, a wonderful 2v1 being set up by them. They're shown what it all to do. Not even going to be able to secure that freebie underneath his feet, I'm afraid. It's a 1 versus 3 with no time left on the clock. G2 will pull off a first successful defense.
Yeah, I think what's missing from Twisted Minds here, a word that I used on Clubhouse was decisive. You know, we often talk about aggression, intensity from Twisted Minds, and I think it goes hand in hand with decisiveness. And like you say, I think, you know, maybe a map that they're a little bit less comfortable on here, a little bit less willing to take those decisions, to grab a hold of those moments, those opportunities where you say there's maybe a low man count in sight, maybe there's an opportunity to grab a bit of ground, a little bit of map control, and something that Twisted Minds maybe could improve on as we go. But G2 going to move us on. They are 1-0 up. A good start for them. We will head to the floor above the last site. This time it's going to be Master and Office.
Which probably means we'll see the extension once again in towards Library. You often get this like triangle being set up there as well. A player on Mez, player at top stairs, one inside Library, dancing around back and forth, just to try and waste as much time as you can. And then you've got to be respectful about players that can try and jump in, of course, towards Solar or Trophy up towards the top side of things and make your life hell. So you can't over-invest in that sense. G2 can get themselves set up for now. And on the attacking side of things, Tim, we're seeing more of what we're used to, I suppose you could say. Mainly looking in towards things like that Solid Snake, who I think very quickly is becoming one of our most picked operators at the event. In fact, I want to do a little digging and find out who is our most picked. I'm very curious to know.
Well, while you find out, we'll keep an eye on how this round is progressing. We're going to have Benja only out of that office door to put the barbed wire down, and then it will be back in, just again making it a little bit more difficult for attackers to approach and try to take control, particularly of the double window, but also onto office door as well. Actually, 2 barbed wires have gone out there, so G2 really investing in keeping that area safe, investing in an advantage for themselves as Stomper manages to pick up the opening kill, using that Denari well, takes down P9, and that's the Nomad gone, and there's a good chance that the air jabs went along with them.
You should be curious, 55% presence for Snake so far, which is actually really high, like 7th overall in all of our operators. The ones who sit above, Azami, Grim, Mira, Kaid, Ying, and Ace. Many of them being banned out the majority of the time, though, which is why their presence stat is quite high. Bit of fun facts for you, Tim. On Raw, a number of times picked, he's 12th.
You know me, Des, I always prefer the number of times picked stat, but a discussion for another day. We're going to have the nade go in just to clear out that Denari. We'll take down the trip connector. Scan will reveal a couple of people to try and deal with. That wall you cannot spray through, though. And G2, again, just going to comfortably sit in there, hold their angle. I like this from G2. They're kind of just allowing Twisted Minds to try and solve these problems and then picking them off as they do. G2 not getting aggressive, not going looking for fights, because they know that they don't need to expose themselves to that kind of risk.
So it's a dancing game at this point. You've got that entry. As long as you keep yourselves alive and don't get picked off in silly ways, then this is, I wouldn't say G2's for the win. I mean, that was certainly what I'd call a silly way, Tim. It's a bit of a strange one to be in that
I was
position.
just saying, G2 aren't really risking themselves going looking for kills, and then Ben just stood outside and gets killed as they rappel through. So, you know, I don't know.
Again, this is, I'll often describe G2's play style this way. It's high risk, high reward. When it comes off, they look like geniuses. When it doesn't, they look like morons. Right now, they're looking like morons, Tim, although Alamal spins for 1. A Trey coming back in for tricks, given this was a very dominant round for G2. They've now found themselves only getting 1 additional kill before they lose all 5 of their players. And Twisted Minds pick up the round.
A good one from Twisted Minds. They need to grab as many attacks as they can. You're going to expect them to be a little bit more comfortable on the defensive half. So everyone that they can grab here is going to be a real positive for them. And getting round 2 just means they're not getting too far behind either. So next site from G2 is going to be Bar and Gaming. That will likely be our full rotation, and then G2 will move back through what we've already seen. Kitchen Dining, Master Office, Bar and Gaming. We've got just a look at the defensive lineup there. Again, no major surprises. Benja bringing along the Kaid, I would imagine, is looking at that stock wall that's just over the stairs that go down into garage. Thank you very much. Just looking at keeping that one safe and breached. I would imagine that's what the Kaid is going to be for, because the hatches, you would more often than not play with them open. So it wouldn't be too much about reinforcing the hatches and keeping them electrified. So we will see where they are played.
So all the changeover coming in for the other side too. Interestingly, I guess to see that Kaid hasn't been banned away here too. It's worth touching on, Tim. Most banned at the tournament by a country mile, and I think it will be no surprise to anybody that that is the case. Although with the Twitch on the other side, there are always going to be ways through. Of course, you can make frag grenades often to destroy those things away too. But he is going to be a little bit of a headache for Twisted Minds to have to chew their way through. And similar to the last round, you're going to have this whole setup around library, around this upstairs, top library, Mez, you name it, all the areas that you need to be able to hold and contest. And that will mean Twisted Minds need to come and work their way through. They can go direct for the library take, or can start up towards Solar and then work their way down from there. And I guess really eyes will turn towards G2 and just how aggressively they want to hold this site.
Razor Bloom taken out by the Twitch drone there is going to allow slightly easier access across into Office and Master. Something that Twisted Minds really could do with gaining. Get yourself into Office, get yourself into Master, exactly what they're doing now. Sweep your way across, and then you can start pressuring that trinity that we see, that blue stairs, mezzanine and library players working in a triangle together and just trying to hold on. You can then start breaking that down if you get yourself that Office and Master control. But Doke very much looking to hold on to that area as well, and Will manages to shut down P9. The Mav hole had been opened open. It really did not work in their favour. Doke looking for more.
Yeah, I was going to say, does he stay here and try and keep on contending against the Blackbeard? It's a risk. You always know there's a second player in behind a shield somewhere, Tim. And Guards has got rid of Doki. So a 1-for-1 out on their own, but removing that snake feels like a pretty big deal, or it would be if we weren't already at a stage where we're asking questions of the site itself.
having office control now. We can see that pressure coming towards Mezzanine, as I said, opening up, they're getting rid of the laser gate on double window. They can then start to push forward, throw some utility in towards that position. Nitro is ripped and ready from the defenders though. Benja looking to maybe make that throw, but at the moment at least nobody there to take advantage. Shaiko is the one in position on blue stairs, and as you can see we've got them 2 silhouettes ahead of us, and that is the 3 players I was talking about that Twisted Minds need to clear out.
They made great use of tricks so far, whether it's peeking onto the mav hole that was opened up or just stepping into around a corner and not having to rely on drones. He's done a lot for them. He's done a lot of shots coming back his way, and of course has kept himself relatively healthy outside of the impact that's come at him. There's Shaiko stepping his way forwards. Guards falls as Stomping collects 2. Massive from him so far, taking a couple of shots, but not finished off. This surely should be a bit of a G2 round to see the close.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a masterclass here as to how to hold on to this, using those 3 power positions to support each other. G2 have done it really well. Hasham,
got to get involved, bro.
They've certainly got their work cut out here. Trix and Hasham continue working. 2v2. This round's not over yet. There's 2v1 as Benja picks up Trix and gets the second as well. G2 close it out.
Yeah, really need Hasham to get a bit more aggressive there, I thought. You knew that the shield was bearing down on these last 2 players, that they wouldn't be able to challenge you inside a library without exposing themselves to the shield. And ultimately, G2 do get the close that they probably deserve, but for a few moments there, had me nervous they were going to see giving away. Into the quick tech pause then, IT technician Doki is back on the scene.
Yeah, I think it seemed to the tech, the admin was heading straight over to Shaiko, so it seems to be maybe a continuation of that issue. So hopefully won't take too long to get it sorted. Yeah, it seems to be the same headset issue, but like I say, hopefully they've got a plan in place and it'll get us back into the game just as soon as possible. But G2 are looking good so far, 2-1 up against Twisted Minds. You've got to feel at the minute, Des, that there's a good chance this is heading for a map 3.
Maybe a little early to call, in my opinion. As we always say, 2 halves to a game of Siege, Tim. You never know what's going to happen when Twisted Minds get on the defense, if G2 will lack the teeth necessary to attack effectively on this map. And that round there, again, for a second, I was very nervous when it came down to that 2 versus 2. I honestly thought that we'd seen Twisted Minds get over the line, but Hasham, as I mentioned, was being a bit too passive, and I think gave G2 a bit too much room to be able to contest onto the Blackbeard himself. So, down to the basement we go, Tim. Not a sight that we often see, but with that we will have seen a full site rotation across this entire map. It is one of the very few maps in the pool where you actually have the ability to play all 4 sites.
I love Chalet as a map. It's not my favourite anymore. It used to be, in terms of the competitive map pool at least. I used to absolutely love Chalet. Still do. I've moved to more of a kind of a favourite on Night Haven Labs if I had to pick one. But Chalet, for that reason, I really like Chalet. Like you say, 4 very viable sites. I said earlier that I expected us to see that same rotation again, but no, G2 say, actually, we are going to use the basement. We are going to use all 4, and it is one of the few maps that you'll see here at the tournament where we do have all 4 used.
And all 3 shields banned away. We spoke about it at the head of things. Would we see a fuse coming along? Right now, the answer is no. I think they probably identified where Guards has been offering a bit of a challenge. It was Trix in the last round on the Blackbeard, but it had to go. Maybe now G2 have a bit of a smoother ride towards the half, and obviously in their mind want to see this out 5-1, but I don't think we're going to see Twisted Minds wilt away and fail to take another round. They'll probably be able to grab 1, if not 2.
We can see a full map setup coming out of G2 here, looking to get themselves active up on that top floor, opening up the hatch. And
4 of them, wow.
Exactly that. There's very little on site at the minute, which is always a risk, of course. If Twisted Minds recognise that, they've got the Capitao. I'm looking at that straight away, get a couple of those smoke bolts in, and maybe have a look at a quick plant, but they are not going to do that. Rotating away instead, it's going to be purely phantom pressure from that front side, and now they will look to get themselves established on the big garage side, and also
is it a full rotate? It looks like it is. They've gone for a full rotate over towards Trench. I mean,
that's fine. You get the front wall open for a bit of phantom pressure, and then try and get the long angle, try and get wine wall, and working from there. I think, no major problems with that.
It's more that Alamar, I think, had to panic, throw out a smoke there as they realised they weren't prepared for a breach to come on through, and it could have been a plant going down. So just reflexively toss down one of those smoke babes and hope to catch someone out, but Twisted Minds, as we saw, fully rotated away. Still got Doki on the upstairs here as the first call from that Dockerby comes out. That normally gives a bit of angle, a bit of room for the attackers to get moving into the map itself, but not a whole lot happening off the back of that one.
No, and it's an interesting one from Doki here because he's not, necessarily slowing anything down. A lot of the work is still going on, but what he does do is he takes attention. They can't ignore the fact that there's a clash there that could just wander on to the flank, so they need to be very aware of that. Has now been forced back downstairs. Trix will pick up Alamau as well, so any smoke canisters remaining are gone. 5 versus 4, Twisted Minds.
And that was through Hatch as well, the smoke being gone, as you say. Any remained, I think it was just the one. I want to say he used the second at some point during that round. So 5 versus 4, and 60 seconds to play. We've still got a phone call, lots of utility available on Chalet. A bunch of smokes and flashes they can also toss down, so they've got all the tools necessary. But look at the setup coming out from G2. Doki especially, inside of trench is in a good spot to waste a lot of time, and Benja is there for the assist. They're going to have to find a way to deal with these two if they want to make something happen.
They do have a firebolt left on the Capitao who could help deal with that clash. Guards manages to pick up Stomping. 5 versus 3. They're going to open the long angle at the bottom of West Main here as well. So Doki at the minute is kind of the sticking point for Twisted Minds. He's the one that's preventing them being able to get into a position to put this diffuser down. Are they instead just going to go for kills? They're going to drop in into the fire. Doesn't mind. Takes the bit of damage. Is going searching for Doki. Doesn't find him. Doki's dropped the shield and taken the kills instead. Shaiko, Benja, one apiece. Twisted Minds have done so much good work, but it is all undone by Doki on the clash. P9 fighting back. 1v2. 7 seconds left to go. They are out of there. Doki, Benja having nothing to do with this fight. They've dipped away into sight. They know how they win this round, and it's going to be on time. G2 get themselves another, and they've got Doki on the clash to thank.
In a way, it was almost a little bit of self-sabotage from the Capitao. That first smoke bot that came down that gave Doki cover. He dropped it and then thought, cool, well, if you're going to protect me from this angle, I'm running up trench. As you say, drops the shield, charges straight up to the doorway, looks left, sees two. Easiest spray down of his life. And Twisted Minds really bottling it there a little bit. Maybe G2 were on the money, Tim, in seeing some of the mistakes that Twisted Minds made in their game against Shifters, and they believe they wouldn't have had time to fix it.
Use as many bombs as they can.
G2 then in round 5, going to be heading back to kitchen and dining. We saw this back in round 1. It was a win for G2, and just looking at across the setup, Fenrir, Oryx, Denari, Wamai, it is exactly the same with Benja on the mute as well. So they are likely going to be playing this in very much the same way as we saw last time around. Not surprised, because Twisted Minds were unable to unpick it. We saw them trying to get that vertical pressure, trying to get up there and get control of Master. It didn't really work out for them. They never felt fully in control of the map and that side of things. So this time, Twisted Minds, get in there, get some ground. I think they lost the Nomad early, if I'm right, last time around, which really didn't help. So I think get in there, use those air jabs this time, get yourself, that flanks locked off so you know you've got a safe, secure space, a beachhead that you can work from.
And again, leaning super heavily into the Intel lineup too, which I don't blame them for. That Lion, Snake, and Deimos all coming together. It's very oppressive if you're playing out on the roam, and given the lineup we have from G2, you're probably going to see a fair chunk of that, as we did last time around. There's this little mad dance around Baron Gaming before, if you remember. I think it's going to turn into more of the same here in round 5. So, eyes really turn towards who steps into the building first on the side of Twisted Minds. You can get a lot done from outside the map on Chalet overall. Lots of windows where you can hold cuts, and you're just hoping that the other side likes to get a little bit aggressive, a little bit too mobile, and you can catch them with the cuts. But there's your first catch coming out of it, Tim. Like I say, Hasham from outside the building gets rid of Benja. Drone hole kill that as well.
Yeah, strong start from them, just letting G2 know there's no safe spaces, nowhere that they can hide. Twisted Minds at the minute focusing towards the library side, looking to get themselves in and also into games as well. As I said, just trying to really take control of that entire side of the map. Now that they've got that kill, they should be able to. Stompin and Shaiko are the sticking point for them at the minute. Shaiko is at top blue. Stompin is just down underneath him. Going to find himself tracked by the Deimos. Has a little look at the challenge and predicts the peak. Takes his man down. P9 out of it. Looks for more. Stompin just will not be stopped right now. Getting aggressive. And as I said, Twisted Minds, if you remember, they just don't take confident control here on Chalet. They're still allowing G2 onto their flanks, onto their side. A lot of utility thrown at Stompin, but he's still not dead, Des.
Yeah, how on earth he hasn't been killed off yet, I don't know. He's got Shaiko covering him inside of the hallway as well. So backs away, but Jalad is there for the collect. The trade is there as Shaiko comes comes down from blue stairs to join his teammate. And like that, Tim, again, it's this scrap around Bar and Gaming that so far has rewarded G2. They're in a 3v2.
Yeah, Twisted Mind's just not clinical enough about the clearance. They do manage to take down Shaiko there, but with 40 seconds left to go and in a 2v2, you're now asking for trouble. It's a lot to try and achieve in that time, and this is the problem. Like I said, Twisted Mind's had an opportunity there where they could have caught Stompin and Shaiko earlier, had map control of this side, and started softening sight up. They haven't removed any utility from sight hardly so far.
Little vault hole for Doki to get back in towards sight if required. Was on his belly to avoid being shot at long range, and don't blame him. Superior scopes tending to exist on those attacker guns. Alamar getting one. Tricks with it all to do. He's had some brilliant moments today. Sees one, got the stiff on towards Doki. Now looking in for the next. He's out towards elbow. Off goes that air jab, but gives him away. Alamar going low. But on both sides, Tim, he can't fight them both at the same time, unfortunately. Will do his best, but Doki gets to collect. And G2 up 4-1 on the defensive Chalet.
Yeah, Stompin and Shaiko doing some real work for G2 there. Twisted Minds completely unable to shut them down, and it left them paying too heavy a price for the map control that they were trying to gain. 4-1 now, G2 starting to really motor through this Chalet.
Whew, all right. Again, it looks like the big brain play was the one to go to a map that we thought they hated. And showing them what to do. Hisham still getting it in chat from Doki in the net constantly. Between the two of them, a little bit of banter going back and forth. And right now, it's Doki that's putting on more of a show than Hisham, unfortunately, for Twisted Minds. G2 could go up 5-1 here. And I struggle to see where Twisted Minds will necessarily find the answers from. Bar and Gaming going to be that last site that we go to for the half before we swap sides and see then how Twisted Minds fare on the defense.
If you remember, I commented in the last game how on both sides, very even, everybody getting involved, kills across the board, and it's very much the same here. Yes, in varying levels between the teams, but what I mean by that is I don't feel like we've had any standout players that have been carrying their teams really. Yes, we've had a big impact from guards. P9's had a good game. On the other side, Stompin's had his moments. Benja's been there, but there is contributions all around from all 10 players in the server, and that is what is helping us have such a good game. How about this, Doki? He's out there by that door. Don't forget, he's got impact nades. It makes the run out nice and easy. He's just waiting for an opportunity if he sees anybody on an electrical gadget, but he won't. They've moved away. However, Alamau has got the... I'm going to say the best opening kill he could have done. You don't get to pick him, but the Ying is a big loss in this situation.
He was so locked in trying to get Hisham that Jalad drops down like Batman. Collects himself a freebie, and Hisham, of course, takes the opportunity to return fire, this time in the chat rather than in the server.
Yeah, Doki just maybe overcommitting to that there. Could have wasted a little bit more time on the Solis, but he was hell-bent on finding that kill. And it's now going to give Twisted Minds the opportunity to move in through the basement and start working their way across. I don't know if the plan here is going to be up main stairs and into fireplace. Pressure from there. Maverick, of course, is going to look to open up that wall.
Gotta be so
but it's
careful.
more the question about what's going to happen afterwards. At the minute, Alamau is not watching, not in a position to challenge this, but he does have the hole opened up. Needs to be careful because he'll likely lose his life if he does come for a look.
Of course, got the two players here while the map was focused on getting the wall up. Then we had guards nearby to provide support, make sure he weren't going to get shot from above. But with that now being opened up, it means no one can really safely play inside of that back room. Alam out into a second. Benja finds another. This is looking all things coming up. G2, Tim, as they hold firm.
Yeah, G2 at cruising speed here. We did question the map choice from them. It's kind of middle of the pack. But I think, we are seeing a very different Twisted Minds performance here on Chalet than the one that we saw on Clubhouse. So, as we suggested, it has very much been about Twisted Minds picking a bad map for G2, G2 picking a bad map for Twisted Minds, and they have both reaped the rewards so far. It really does feel like we're heading for Cafe 5-1 at the half.
Good job, guys. That's what I need. Okay, guys. Like even let's close this map now, but let's keep the pace whenever since the end of the beyond dribble. Let's close this map with confidence. Everyone communicate very good. We pick when we need to pick. Okay. So I'm gonna remember the defense. Okay, guys. Look, Bar they do the offset hold with Hashu playing dining. Okay, so it's they just repeat this. Okay, so you just know this because was the only round they played against Shifters. Okay, So like everybody remember our tax guys like spot tiny like have the split tiny, okay? Like tag even library push, okay? So like and for master remember like also like if they're holding games in tiny like just stop bro. They can't hold everything, okay? And like if they're not they're not holding games, you can even like do the solar push, okay? Solar push also, yeah.
Right, I mean, if the Monty is open, just gonna sort of push every round.
Yeah, remember also the thing you do like the sort of push like you go.
خلينا ناخذ كنترول بس كم راوند راح نجيب الجيم راح نضغطه تمام. ترى مو قاعدين نسوي شيء، هم قاعدين نفوز على اغلاطنا. يعني هسه لا نضبط الاغلاط ما نغلط خلاص بنفوز.
طب ابانز وش ناويين نسوي؟
مونتي
مونتي جريم
يا
اوكي.
مونتي جريم اوكي. اللهم صل على النبي.
نرجع
دبل شيلد ما احس ما راح يلعبوا جريم.
لا خليها مونتي جريم على المتعودين عليه بنجيب امها.
نلعب ترابات ها؟
البوزيشنات اتذكر.
تبون نكثر ميوت يا اخوان لان عندهم سوليد.
راح العب جيمز.
تبون نكثر نلعب ميوت لان عندهم سوليد عندهم.
نقدر ايه.
انا قاعد العب
سوليد.
يا عيال والله نجيبها اقسم بالله نجيبها يا عيال. يا عيال امس
ستيب باي ستيب
ايزي اقسم بالله والله.
Take a breath, we can bring guys.
All right, well, you've heard the ban strategy coming out there, especially from Twisted Minds. Monty and Grim are likely to be what disappears away for these first two bans, and of course we'll see the third after 3 more rounds. On the other side, it's Azami. May even see a mirror follow here as a double up, Tim.
Yeah, I would expect so. We saw that in the first half. Fairly standard bans for Chalet. You really don't want to be playing into either of those two. And like you say, when you see the Monty go first, there's a good chance that you see another shield following on last couple of seconds, and then we will see those revealed. I'm not sure how much more Twisted Minds... there we go. Completely shocking us. And neither of what we expected. It's going to be the Soul, it's going to be the Grim. Plenty of value in both. And G2 just wanting to remove that intel threat of the Solus. It's one that we saw Doki using himself quite a bit. A lot of verticality available on Chalet. No matter where you are in the map almost, you can usually get a vertical angle on somewhere. So certainly don't want to be dealing with too much of that if you're trying to get that diffuser down. Round 7 is going to see Twisted Minds on their first defense. It's going to be Bar and Gaming this time. And G2, I think, are going to be looking for a very strong start here on the attack. So Twisted Minds, you better be ready for it.
That's the target ban for the Solus, by the way, onto Hishama. We've seen play it a couple of times as we've cast him throughout the tournament, but the alternative you can go towards that might not have exactly the same impact you're after is going to be going in towards the Valkyrie. Now, if G2 read into that and decide to bring along the IQ to respond, fantastic. Or they're leaning towards something like the Brava, as they're doing here, looking to try and steal those gadgets away. But quite a change up in terms of their lineup, actually. Still leaning very heavily in towards the information game. And Alamau, shock horror, running around on the Blitz. I actually wonder if people can hear, by the way, like the stage is being basically built right next to where we're casting. And every now and then we'll hear a really loud noise, something's lifted up or constructed or moved around or whatever. But it's exciting that we're literally seeing the stage getting built next to us in real time, ready for Friday.
Benja just opening up that main door, and that's going to give, again, a little bit of an issue for the defenders who are going to be looking to move around. Look at this, though, the aggression. I said that G2 might just get aggressive. I'm not sure if that flash was missed or not. It's not really going to matter as the battle continues. Doki manages to find Chalet elsewhere. Plant goes down. G2, they are looking to speedrun this Chalet attack.
Yeah, been a fantastic approach from them so far. And look, G2 just come out the walls, it feels, in places as well. As Sean trying to do what he can with the Deagle to try and fight his way back in, but this one already is feeling a little bit short. P9 has got the vertical, but it's the windows they need to be worrying about. Doki and Benja left alive. In fact, one falling down. It's all on towards Doki. They know where he is, Tim. They're going to have to do something really special, though, to get the kill. The best thing they can do is double stack on this window. They try their best, and they get the kill. Tim Trickst again. Not his first big round today. Has enough time to stick the disable. 5-2 to G2.
Doki in a difficult position there. He'd saved one E1D scan, used it well, but ultimately he couldn't really just dip away from that window, because if he did, what was going to happen? Somebody gets on that diffuser and then somebody else gets themselves set up and holds the angle, and then Doki has to move back into it. So really, you feel like he had to take the fight in that situation, try to win them, but couldn't. 5-2 then, as Twisted Minds managed to get their first successful defense. G2, as I suggested, just looking to get a little bit chaotic, a little bit intense, get in there and get the round done quickly and get themselves onto that map point, but it was not to be, at least not in round 7.
Yeah, really close, and it's kind of a shame, and obviously hindsight is 2020. Had a nade sat in back pocket that he could have tossed onto the diffuser, and they wouldn't have been able to swing him easily. Could have even hidden himself away and just baited out the diffuser, and rather than getting stuck in a 1 versus 2, make it a 1v1 because they're running out of time. Either way, let's see if they can fight their way back. All right, let's break the fourth wall a little bit, kids. We've got 2 buttons on our little boxes in front of us. One which mutes us. So you guys didn't hear Tim sneeze. But we've got a green button.
Maybe they did on yours.
Maybe they did, yeah. But the green one which mutes you to your codecaster.
It was a big sneeze.
Yeah, so I got the full earful of the... and they got mute and silence on there, mate. They came out better on this one, I think. Okay, let's get into it, though, and see if G2 can get this one done. It was a really good attempt, and the rush was very well formulated. It was just in the post-pump where things then started to fall apart. And often a team won't fall for the same thing twice. So this round, there is no blitz rush to come on through. A Sean being taken dangerously low there, hanging around bedroom. Got to be careful. Of course, those frost mats already down, as well as the shield, so his gadgetry is in position. But I think on Chalet, at least in my opinion, you really need all 5 guns alive to be able to cover the breadth of it that you need.
Don't think Doki was hoping to be challenged from Ivy window quite so quickly there. The Claymore was going down. Hasham's going to be just moved back as the nade goes in. Ooh. Sticking his position, but needs to be careful because he's very low health at the minute. Doki's just going to remain in his position. As you can see, Hasham, I love how...
He's always on his belly.
I'm going to say, we know it's Hasham through and through to just be this aggressive, you know, to play right underneath a window like that. If a nade was to come in or anything, he's in serious trouble. Doki does have another one in pocket, and I think that's a good idea to stand up and keep yourself mobile. There's the nade I was talking about. How does he do it? Manages to escape still, and he's going to be playing from the bathtub instead.
Just all time wasting, isn't it? Not forgetting there's all this gadgetry inside it. The Ranger's looking for the kill onto the player up on the roof. Would have been Shaiko, but missed his shots. Does he fancy it? Surely not. I was about to say, don't peek out again. It's a fool's errand normally to peek the same angle twice. A few seconds later, Tim, a P9's going to find Doki. That's the first death of the round. Knows the trophy is where another player is waiting. Alamar being super cautious there. But we've seen this so many times, Tim, where teams get stuck trying to move this player that's off solar stairs. You need nades to make them move. Otherwise, he can watch the window, he can watch trophy, and it can be a little bit of a bother. There's that nade that I spoke about. He's going to step on forward a little bit, but still keeps himself alive.
Yeah, this is really well played from P9 so far. He's been pressured both from trophy window and from solo windows, but G2, this is the second time they've had to rotate. Now, you know, they had Doki trying to work bathroom window, didn't work. Then they're trying to clear out solar stairs, hasn't worked. And now they find themselves 3 versus 5. Twisted Minds looking very, very comfortable. P9 really doesn't need to challenge this. He can just hold himself back. Kasham, even on low health, manages to find Shaiko. 5 versus 2, and surely another round going in Twisted Minds' favour.
They really need to pressure guards because Alamal can't step into the building here while guards is holding on that long angle. So someone needs to come in towards lobby, and Stomping's the player looking out for that and start applying pressure in towards site. But the problem is naturally Twisted Minds are going to have that considered too. And guards, he can watch them all, Tim. That is a flawless round from Twisted Minds and an excellent defense. It had so many layers to it, you can call it an onion.
Certainly can, and G2's eyes are going to be watering after that one because they're starting to see these points slip away, so much so that Ramalho will call a tactical timeout. Twisted Minds, of course, as a reminder, if they get this map, they win 2-0 and move through to the next phase of the competition. They will be our first team to qualify. So G2 deciding it's time to try and hit the brakes here and slow down the momentum that Twisted Minds are building.
Sorely need to get something going, don't they? And it's always painful after you've just had the halfway point, you've set out the game plan, you've had 2 minutes to discuss what's going right, you know, what's to be mindful of on the other side, what are they going to do here, the tendencies, what kind of strats and ops they like to play, what you're going to ban, and then 2 rounds in a row just completely fall by the wayside. And dare I say the first round was really of G2's own making. They had the diffuser down, Alamo was in a brilliant position, pressuring the Chanka so he couldn't stop it happening. And then it's a case of get outside the building, have a player on rappel, 2 sat outside the double window, and away you go. But they've thrown that one away. That last round was very dominant for Twisted Minds. I can only imagine Romalia saw where momentum was going and had to give her a little breather, a little chance to have a conversation and see if we can course correct. Master and Office going to be where we step for round 9.
Again, the fight, I would imagine, is going to come over to this side of the map that we're looking at. We saw G2 hold this very well. Twisted Minds really struggled to break down, you know, the hold of Library and get serious control of the map. That's what I kept talking about for Twisted Minds. They're never in confident control of the map. Let's see if G2 can do any better with that job. Looking at their attacking lineup, we're not going to see too many, if any, switchers now that we're coming into those final ties. I say that 2 of them very kindly switch off. We're going to have Alamau switching from Twitch to Ram. An interesting one to say that we're up on the top floor.
Yeah, noise thing sometimes.
Maybe.
Also the ability to just roll on through and create quite a bit of bother at the same time through walls. There are options, but I agree with you. It definitely is an interesting choice for a top floor and certainly isn't one that we see very often. P9. If I look straight away down towards the bottom right corner of the screen, like, has he got a C4? No, shield for this round. You'd probably expect to normally see that drop down at the top of Library Stairs. It's not the case in this round, though. More dug, I imagine, deeper in towards site itself, out and towards Piano.
Benja might just... Guards has just moved up blue stairs. I was just thinking Benja's holding that angle. I don't think Guards is going to get so aggressive as to move out in towards Mezzanine, but he does need to be careful with his movement, not to give anything away. It's P9 as well that could be an issue inside of Library. G2 not really doing too much just yet to disrupt these 2 on this side of the map. They're going to be able to hold this down and waste a lot of time. A minute is already gone. G2 instead looking to apply a bit of pressure onto the Solar side, but Alamau just goes straight into sight and gets a double, so there you go.
That's what he does. Tossing the round, make yourself some room to charge on through, and Alamau is on an absolute tear this round, Tim. Made an absolute distraction and capitalised off it. 3 kills for himself, make it a 4th as G2 secure a flawless round.
Yeah, great round there from Alamau. I don't know if maybe one of the boogie drones was running at the time and it was always there to cover the sound of the rappel or not. I'll check that out later on. But either way, he rappelled in from that double window and just got kill after kill. I think it's one of those moments where it's just something that you don't expect to happen at this level. So Twisted Minds not prepared.
Doki explaining the etiquette of shit talk to guards. Oh. Yike. I mean, to be fair to guards, it's kind of been suppressed by the bans that we saw in the first half. Yes. Very much had those shields cruelly taken away from him, which I'm sure he takes great delight in. But it does now mean there is a 3-round deficit for Twisted Minds to close. It's very rare that we see that done, especially not against a team of the caliber of G2. They're not the kind to bottle a lead of this caliber, especially off the back of a flawless round win.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd be surprised to see G2 not close this out now, especially given that it's really not a fantastic match for Twisted Minds. What would you tell me?
Shaiko's in the chat. I was asking for Brede in our previous game, but he weren't getting drawn into it. Shaiko, though, he's in there.
Shaiko's been on a real villain arc over the last 6 months, to be fair.
He has, and I'm all here for it. He managed to get a rare interview about him yesterday as well. Jonah managed to get him on for a little chat. Many have tried, many have failed over the years. I can think of many events where they've been called up and said, "Oh, Shaiko, come for a chat," and he's like, "Nope." So that was definitely a rare win. Maybe we'll see him continue to evolve as the year progresses. All right, Bar Gaming. Let's see how things go. Last time round, we saw G2 rush in, and they were in a 4v2. It looked winnable. And then it all went Pete Tong. It all went wrong. It went upside down. And, of course, we saw Twisted Minds managing to recover. G2 this time round are not looking for a rush, but we have got Stomping. Looking to be a little bit sneaky-beaky-like on this Nook, Tim.
Is he going to hop on in? Yes, he is. Drone is ahead of him. He's going straight in. Is he going to head down West Main, or is he going to go towards Hasham? Hasham is there. There is the possibility of taking an early challenge. He is heading for Hasham. He does know. The ping is there. I'm not sure he knows exactly where, though. Yes, he does. He sees him around the corner. Can he win the fight now? He's given Hasham the opportunity to get on into it. Frag grenade goes out. Hasham just hits the deck instead. He's going absolutely nowhere. Stomper needs to come away with this fight.
But they're just spraying all the soft wall. Anything they can do to try and shoot him out here, and he hasn't moved Balls of steel being shown by this man, guards. That fires dangerously close to your teammate, I think, and now he's got to get up and run. No one on front door, but Stomping was there waiting. Saw him through the soft wall and gets the entry.
Yeah, well played from Stomping there. Good patience. Didn't get overly aggressive and put himself into a bad situation. Just waited for the movement and then took the rewards as they were offered. 5 versus 4 then as G2 continued to mount pressure across the top floor. Shaiko and Alamau are starting to get control of Master and Office. We've got Benja pressuring onto Library. Twisted Minds must feel like they are really between a rock and a hard place at the minute.
They are, yeah, and this will only start to get worse as well, but they are holding pretty firm as well. Looking resolute, but just as Jalab walks away, in behind him comes Benja, and he's got a freebie. Classic siege timing moment, Tim. And this one is not going to be over in 2 like we suspected. Instead, it's going to take all 3 maps. Guards, I can't quite see him being able to get a recovery on the go here. A second flawless round in a row will send us to Cafe.
Yeah, much as you would have expected from those map bans then, both picking up a map each that is not a great map for their opponent and being able to win it on the back of that. We go to Cafe for our last one as G2 get Chalet and go 1-1.
Both teams have a great record on that map. I really can't wait to see how it goes. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the last map in this best of 3 between G2 and Twisted Minds. It has been a twisted series so far, back and forth. We thought it could be a 2-0 to Twisted Minds, but instead, Tim, here we find ourselves going into Cafe to settle the score.
Yeah, and it's a map that both of these teams like. It's, I don't think, going to be an easy game. Wouldn't surprise me to see it go the distance. Both of them know what's at stake here. Winner goes through, loser moves on to the next stage. Another match, another best of 3 to try and qualify. It is brutal when you get into that, so it's going to be a big one.
Best of 3s all the way through for those that are 2-0 or 0-2, of which these two teams find themselves. And we were speaking earlier on about the last time we saw Twisted Minds play on Chalet. It was a 7-0 to Shifters. We also saw Clubhouse in that series. That sounds familiar, Tim. It was almost like it was our first map. And then the third map in that series was Cafe, where Twisted Minds took 5 attacking rounds. They do start on the defense here, but G2 must have in the back of their minds that realization that Twisted Minds might be pretty good at attacking this map, Tim.
They both have attacking stats up in the 70%, so there's very little to separate these two teams. I really am expecting this to be a close one. Twisted Minds, Doki just asking, did you choose defense? Twisted Minds, you know, they are good on the attack here, but I think in that case, why not choose the defense? Go out there, see what you can get. If you can shut G, it's a little bit of a gamble, but if you can shut G2 down a little bit on their attack, it really puts the pressure on them in that second half.
Well, you'd hope so, yeah. It's a good way to start things out, and I think Twisted Minds having the defending side. I know what I've just said about their attacking success on this map. I think starting on defense is 100% the right play. Quick tech issue here. Come on, Doki, stop typing. Get on the IT support duties. Go help your boys out. And now we're having a debate about the English language. That's a bit more cordial and a bit more amicable than previous conversations in all chat.
Certainly is. Looks like we're going to be getting back underway then. Bans will be going through Azami and Monty. Not always sure with Cafe exactly where the next ones are going to follow. We will see what we get.
They're just talking about, like, oh, Doki's helping P9 out here. It's how you say this, like you say that. And then Shaka comes in and goes, you guys are so bad at trash talking. And I agree. That's what all chat is for. Shoko remains the villain. Our two bans are going to be Azami and Solus. On the other side, Monty and Grim, same as we saw back on Chalet, Tim.
Yeah, again, that Solus, as you say, targeted likely towards Hasham. We know that he likes to play it in Cafe. There's a decent bit of value there. Again, plenty of opportunity for plant denial with the Solus. No matter which side you're on, really, you can always get above, below, try and do something. So, yeah, good option, I think, from G2 there. And we're going to kick off with Twisted Minds defending down on that ground floor level. It's going to be Kitchen.
I've already started this map now, but also there's another series coming after this, don't forget, as well, in FaZe Wildcard. The big question is, can the back-to-back world champions actually go on to be successful in the next event? Because it's a constant curse, and I was speaking to Handy about this last week. It is a curse that has followed every team. They win a world title, and then it all just falls to tatters. No one quite knows why, but it's a thing that seems to follow the trend, and obviously FaZe are very keen to prove that that is not the case for them. They can carry on at being dominant. They are 2-0. They're coming up against Wildcard, who are exactly the same. It's going to be another banger of a best of 3.
That's it, and we haven't, you know, seen FaZe be successful in the majors or anything outside of SI. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad place to be successful, but they didn't win in Munich, they didn't win at Rio. They're looking for that success outside of SI as well. Chalet manages to take down Doke. Big loss as the Demos goes. Big loss for a number of reasons, because of course they're going to be looking to get that top floor and mid floor control. I would expect here G2. The Demos would have been a great help in doing so, but also once you've got that control, using the tracks on players down into site, being able to use that vendetta, plenty of verticality above the site. Big loss with Doki off the board. 5 versus 4 in favor of Twisted Minds.
And you may be looking at Alamar's pick here in this round of bringing along the Fuse and say, well, why not a Blitz in this case? It isn't banned. It's one of his go-to operators. Why bring on the Fuse? A couple of reasons. We saw a team do it yesterday, and it wasn't because of the gadget. It was because of the secondary gadget. Those hard breach charges the team needed, and I think there's a bit of a lean in towards that. In fact, he is their only hard breach available, so if they want to be able to get Kitchen Hatch opened up, for example, then they need to make sure that Alamar stays alive and in one piece, and there is a player below him looking to cause a bit of bother. This is a high-risk, potentially high-reward moment. It's on to Hasham. He's now going to back himself away, and so with that, White Stairs is cleared off, at least for now.
How do they deal with VIP? It is always the question I ask every single time, and it is such an important position. Not going to be playing the Warden in there, which is what we often see, or the Tubarao, usually one of the two. Instead, Hasham with the Scorpos was the one that was going to be holding on there, but it's actually going to be P9. Sorry, Hasham has relocated himself, used that kind of teleportation, switching shells to get back into Kitchen. Let's go do a P9 on the smoke to hold on to that. Does look like G2 are looking to pressure towards Freezer.
You can see what they've gone for as well, making use of the Fuse charges to chew through those Mine Magnets, get rid of all the other bits of utility, the Goyo, the bulletproof barbed wire that might be around in Site 2, just to give them a bit of an easier time when they do look to hit Site. They are, of course, still down a man as we get into these final 60 seconds or so. I stand corrected, Tim, they're down 2 men. That was a bit too easy.
It was, and there's the Toxic Babe canister because VIP hasn't been dealt with.
Oh, I like this.
Exactly this. This is the problem. I don't feel like G2 have maybe committed enough to dealing with this VIP position. He hears the drop. He knows exactly where he is. If he'd have had anything but the SMG, I think he probably wins that fight. Stomping, however, takes down the smoke, creates a little bit of space for G2, but the big question here is, are they going to have time? 20 seconds left to go. Not in a position to put the diffuser down yet. Alamau has dropped the hatch with case in hand. He's looking to get into position, but he walks straight past Hasham, who just keeps himself quiet, finds a double. Twisted Minds get the round, and G2 were rushing, and they were punished.
That is criminal. That is absolutely criminal. They should have seen him on a drone every day of the week, but it also shows those nerves of steel that we saw back on Chalet and back on Club from Hasham at times. Doesn't care that the ceiling is coming down around him, that there are fuse charges going off. Tucks in tight and gets his just reward. G2 with a small misstep there comes back to bite them. And I do want to talk about P9's play there for a second too. It'd be very easy to look at that and go, why has he done that? Like, why has he stepped out into a spot where he probably can't win a fight with the SMG? And it's because he's used all 3 of those smokes. And for him to then get back to site safely is quite a tall order. So he may as well try and be a little bit of a nuisance. And knowing that G2 are looking to go for a drop at some point to make a plan happen, just being able to disrupt them can be enough. And although we didn't see it necessarily off screen, it could even be that was what let Hasham get into that critical position.
Okay, on we go then, Twisted Minds. I tell you what, they're a team after my own heart, Des.
They're not going to top floor.
We're still not.
I knew you were going to say it.
Still not seeing top floor.
I knew you
They
were going to say
started
it.
out in Kitchen. They now go into Reading. So there will be a defensive top floor, but it's not going to be the top floor site itself. The question is which will be. I don't even mind if top floor is their 3rd choice site. You know, this is what I'm saying. But it could well be that they go to mining anyway and we won't see it whatsoever. But
I do want to clear your name a bit here, Tim, in case people are hearing that and saying,
right.
why is Cass Master got a raging hate mode.
Been right for years.
For the last, well, we've been casting now together for 7 odd years, and over those last 7 years, the top floor has consistently been the worst defensive site by quite some way. Yet teams often insist on going there as their first site. It's very, very perplexing. Either way, Jalad, the first to fall. The Mozzie is offline. His gadgets are down, so it's not the end of the world, but you do lose a C4. And Asham, once again, just finds himself in these very, very risky positions, but has been rewarded for it. A spray through the floor finds 1, guards into a second, stomping on the line, falls down 2. 2 of their 3 intel operators offline here for G2.
Yeah, G2 need to be learning here. They've got to be tracking down Hasham, finding his presence, finding where he is, and making sure that they're not going in and giving him the kills that he's waiting for, because so far, 2 rounds on the bounce, that has been the case. 4 versus 3 now. G2 not yet established inside of the map. There's nobody in the map at the moment. They just keep dying when they try to get in there. And having a look through, Hasham is still in second floor, has not been chased too far away. He's in mining, so the reason I point that out is he's near red. He was near red stairs. He's now going to dip himself back deeper into the safety of those mine cars, train cars for the time being.
Mine cars.
I have the word mining in my head.
I mean, they could be mine cars, Tim.
I don't know.
It's next to the mining rooms. The trains are probably escorting mining goods.
Very possible.
I'll give you that one. Hasham 3-0 then after a pretty dismal performance on the last map as well. He has been kept relatively quiet by G2, at least historically, but here he definitely looks like a man who's inside of his castle. A bit of a quick swing on towards Alamar there, and he's like, what the hell just happened? Who tried to swing me? It was Trix, sat inside on the mirror. A shotgun at the ready for P9 here onto White Stairs. No one yet pushing onto him, but there is a player outside on the window who no doubt wants to get inside at some point and look to start moving through.
G2 just, they're stalling out a little bit here. You've got Doki and Shaiko are up in top floor now. Alamau's just holding this door. Twisted Minds can keep playing around with positions like that White Stairs door because they've got the extra map. And all the while, they're just eating time away from G2, who desperately need to find this next kill and won't. As Trix manages to pick up Doki, that's going to be the Brava gone. Alamau does get the trade. 3 versus 2. Track comes out.
Okay.
Absolutely beautiful shot from Shaiko. It was actually Alamau who got the kill. It looked on our screen as though he'd taken his man down, but no, he's still locked in behind mining. Hasham survives for now, but Alamau closes him out. This is actually a great comeback from G2, but again, they're being punished because they don't know exactly where everybody is. Gods, just get yourself out of there, man.
He could have played the clock there. I don't think he had to step up into pillars and go for a challenge, Tim. Let him step on forward.
He certainly didn't need to stand in the open.
I'm with Doki, straight in chat. What are you doing? Like, look, the guy's a sub. Doesn't play hyperactively anymore, but you would have expected him to slink away there, just hide for a little bit and wait for the clock to hit 0. You've got a player down. The other player has to start sticking the plant or has to come and pressure you, and he chose to pressure you, and the round was lost as a result. G2 get their first attack. You guys might see this one in chat in a minute, maybe. We'll find out. It was a good first kill for Hasham, and again, he keeps getting into these really high-risk positions and doing a lot of work.
He's doing a lot of damage to G2, and like I said, I think that's something something G2 need to learn from. We've got a couple of incidences there with Hasham, but also Shaiko running into pillar there, unaware of where guards was, and I think G2 just needs to be doing a better job throughout the round of building this picture, building that intel. Where is everybody? It's difficult when Twisted Minds are going to be bringing operators like the Mozzie. This is not the first time that we've seen them. Mozzie. It is going to create a little bit of starvation for you on that intel side of things, but they need to make sure that they are aware as possible. We've seen them run past Hasham in kitchen because it was late round and they'd not had a chance to drone again, maybe run out of drones at that point, and he completely shut down the round. We've seen them miss him in piano and he's punished them from there. We've seen Shaiko running into pillar, being taken down by guards from Brown Stairs, so just a little bit better intel game and awareness from G2 will go a long way, I think.
The first line scan coming out, tagging up 2, getting P9 and guards identified, who both summarily move away into a more safe position where they won't be able to get a nade thrown at them or tossed out in a different direction. Now Benjo's asking the right question here on towards White Stairs. They're chasing him down here, Tim, but I'm not quite sure they're going to be able to catch up with him as Guards has just disappeared all the way through the basement and there's no one to collect him on the other side.
Yeah, Guards is long gone. He's going to look to get back up red stairs. He could maybe challenge across that mid-floor again. I don't think he's going to want to go as far as the top floor because it'll leave him under that hatch, which will by now have been opened, so he's not going to be too keen on that. And Guards at the minute can just kind of run them a merry tale. He is going to be tracked by the Deimos, so that's going to tell them where he is, Shaiko. He does a great job with that Vendetta.
Doki's that little brother at school whose big brother is like 2 years above and goes around talking mad shit, can't win a fight himself, but he's always got big brother Shaiko, Alamau, everyone else to step up and do his dirty work for him. I think he's just playing the chat. He's playing the mental game. Everyone else is playing Siege.
Yeah, exactly that. Doki's there at the minute just trying to, I think, get into the heads, especially picking Guards out as the sub. He's had a couple of opportunities to bite at him. Shaiko manages to get another with the Vendetta. He's doing really well so far, taking down P9, leaving us now in a 5 versus 3 G2. A serious advantage as Benja finds Jalad underneath the hatch. And a second. Absolutely beautiful stuff from Benja. Just makes it look easy.
Did he just? Yeah, Shaiko with the close on the back. A flawless round for G2. And that's 2-1 on the attack, Tim. I did say earlier on that Twisted Minds were pretty good last time they played this map. Against Shifters, they won 5 of their own attacks, but you don't want to be coming into that second half knowing that you have to get a 5-1. And Doki, again, still keeping up with the mental warfare, piling on Guards here, who he thinks is starting to wobble a bit.
So he's seeing an opportunity there, obviously. I think we're going to have a tactical timeout coming in from Twisted Minds here, so going to have an opportunity for them to have a chat. But yeah, well, I think, to be honest with you, for Twisted Minds, a 2-4 half, so 4-2 in G2's favour, it's not the end of the world for them here on defence. They've got a 71% win rate on attack. G2 have got a 76% win rate on attack. So 4-2 halves when you're on the defence is kind of the standard here. That's what we're looking for. Twisted Minds have taken the gamble. They've gone to the defence first. They're thinking if we can get a 3-3, then maybe we get the win there straight from that. But at the minute, all is good for both sides, I think. It's kind of just sitting into, you know, like I said, I think we're going to see all 12 of this, maybe even more, and it really is just sitting into that at the minute.
I'll tell you what, this is an effective way of using attack timeout, is nearly half the lobby getting involved in all chat. Obviously, Doki is still cracking on and winding him up. P9 saying it's been 3 rounds and you've had no kills, bro. And Shaiko steps in. It's a team game. Which it is. Doki very much affirmative on that. Said, I can be 0-10 and we'll still win this game. My team don't need me. Yours need you. And it's looking that way, given G2 have started out strong. Attack timeout done. Let's see how we go in the second quarter, Tim. I'm just here to repeat what happens in all chat. That's all I'm here for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mentally, I'm in that chat. Yeah. I'm in there. I pulled up a seat. I got some popcorn, Tim. I'm here for it.
Twisted Minds, they need at least one of the next 3, I think. A 5-1 will be, I won't say devastating for them, but I will say problematic. But I think, like I say, 4-2 in favour of G2 is a fair minimum standard for Twisted Minds here. We are expecting bigger things from them on the attack. So G2 this time going to be attacking. It is mining, so we will see all 4 sites as well. We did see top floor in that last round. G2, of course, winning everything but the kitchen so far. Let's see how they do on this mining site. It's always a tough one because you've got that external window directly into site, and it's always a little bit of an easy judgment for sites, isn't it? When you've got that direct external access, it tends to make it a little bit more difficult because you kind of immediately lose one of your sites.
So Benja must know that there's someone inside to his right here, but sure enough, he's straight in, into the walls. The Malusi. No. You're playing Snake, brother. You're playing solid Snake. Tricks, no problem, gets a freebie. Straight back on the scanner like nothing happened.
They lost Alamau along the way as well. I don't really know what G2 were thinking there. They're going to try and now get themselves into top floor, but Twisted Minds are just running all over them, and no surprise whatsoever. It's like G2 have just kind of decided to play TDM in this round. They're just going to go in, jump in, see if they get the opportunity to take a gunfight here or there, and it has not paid off whatsoever. Twisted Minds punishing them brilliantly, and the problem with that is, like I said, it's a 4-2 minimum standard. standard for me on Twisted Mind's side. So if they get this round, that's their minimum standard met. They've then got 2 rounds of an opportunity to get that 3-3 split that they're really looking for.
Granted, one thing I've just realised, he was sat in a mute jammer. That's why he didn't get the indication, and that's why he assumed it was safe. Although, of course, I had the inkling someone was sat there.
You should know that there's a mute on side.
Yeah. Could even probably hear it from that window, being truthful as well, Tim.
You can't... Snake is a super powerful operator, but you cannot just take it as complete law that because it's... Scanner says clear, that it is all clear. You know, there are counters there. This is Siege. Everything has a counter. G2 then losing the round. Twisted Minds pick it up. Great round from them. Absolutely no fear in them whatsoever. They were not rattled by the aggression. They go 2-2. Like I say, for me, that is now minimum standard met with that 70% attacking win rate in mind that they're going to enjoy in the second half. So one more round from them, and I feel like the gamble of defense first might just have paid off for Twisted Minds.
We shall see. We shall see. And what I will say is, you look at that last round and you go, wow, G2 are so bad. They lost 2 players for nothing. They were trying to do what many teams will try and do off the back of attack timeout, when you assume that the other side, having a conversation, formulate a plan of some kind. They try and find a way to right the balance again and get themselves back to winning ways. Best thing you can do, hit them hard and fast. Whether you call it a rush or just someone crouch walking up a stairway somewhere, or in this case, running straight in towards mining and hoping to get a kill. They were trying to disrupt them. And if it comes off, they look like absolute geniuses. I say this about G2 all the time. When they do certain things, they either look like the best team in the world or the worst team in the world. There is very rarely an in-between, but they commit to else whatever it is they agree is the go-to game plan. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and in that round, it did not.
I don't think Trix is looking for a jump out, but you never know. You never know with Twisted Minds. He double knocks it. You realize he's going to smash the glass as well, just to try and reduce the audio later in the round. So the opportunity is there. Look at this from G2, but the impact nade will get rid of a lot of the light screen and will expose the fact they went in. Stomping, not ideal, taking down Doki. Does manage to shoot through him and find Jalad at least. So that's 4 versus 3, but they have lost the shield, they've lost the sense, they've lost everything that was the plan for that attack.
Again, in another round, that's a genius play by G2. In this one, it's an absolute disaster. More the team kill from Stomping, I think. Otherwise, they're in off the back of the shield and able to support Alamau. At least he managed to convert it into a couple more. P9's there for the trade team, and despite it starting out real messy, they're back in a 2 versus 2.
They are, but Twisted Minds always seem to be the team at the minute that have that extra 10%. We've just seen it there. Great play by G2. They get in through court, move through red stairs, get that kill into wedding. But where's that extra 10%? It's Twisted Minds swinging out a double door and getting the trade, keeping themselves in the 2v2, keeping themselves from being behind at a man disadvantage. That's an interesting position that is being held there. I don't think it's something G2 would expect. And we're going to have Shaiko just trying to work the wall from that red stairs side. Ping information is coming out. P9, real opportunity to move around. He's going slowly here. Don't think he gets heard. He desperately wants to get there. They're on drone. Stomping is an absolute freebie. Finds his man. And the second beautiful movement from P9. Twisted rounds. They get the 3. And that is the gamble paying off. I feel like that's the minimum they needed there from taking defense first. Well, 2-4, not the end of the world. 3-3 is good for the gamble. 4-2 on their side will be phenomenal for them.
Especially after being down 2-1, I think, as well. Yeah. And for those curious, P9 every single round is still in chat reminding Doki he's got 0 kills so far. That hasn't stopped at all. And for all we said about the SMG earlier, Tim, he just rots up and got 2 wonderful headshots with it.
He did. Hit his shots that time. A little bit tough at
Bro
range
knows ball
sometimes, but gets the job done.
All right, 3-2. What a recovery that has been. I feel even if they lose this round here, they'll still feel like the half wasn't all that bad and it is still recoverable. Again, I'm very curious to see how that second half goes. They played it against Shifters. Admittedly, the competition was different. Their opponent was a very different team in terms of play style and arguably quality, and not all any offense there meant to Shifters. Just that G2 has said, are one of the favourites here at this tournament. Do I think they can walk away with 5 rounds there? No. But can they get away with maybe 3 to see themselves over the line? Absolutely. Cat can be brought along by P9 in this round, an operator we haven't seen an awful lot of, despite being in the trap meta. Nicholas Thorne has just been so effective along with the Ella at slowing teams down. And sure, a good way of slowing teams down is by killing them with explosives. That also works pretty damn well too. And the thing I always say about a Kapkan is once you're aware that there's one trap inside the map, well, you've got to look out for the other 4. And finding out where they are so you aren't late round wandering into those lasers and getting yourself blown up is quite important. So we'll keep an eye on where those get set up. Right now he's drone hunting.
Maybe he's hurt. It's one of those where maybe he's just heard it driving around and you think there's one here somewhere. But the thing is, the drones are particularly important to the Kapkan. The last thing he wants is to be watched putting those traps down because it means that they don't have to go and find them. G2 will just know exactly where they are. That's not ideal. He'll be able to pick that up and just throw it in anyway. It wastes 5 seconds, but not the end of the world.
Yeah. Nothing too worried to get yourself beaten up about. Now, we've got a lot of utility in the form of the Capitale. You've already heard one of the fires coming out there onto Pixel to help them try and get control in towards Piano. There's no one tucked in that corner, though, so for G2, I guess you could say mission accomplished, even if the firebolt wasn't required or essential to get that one done. Otherwise, they're largely sat inside a cocktail. We've got one inside of storage. It's a Sham, naturally, who's tucked in tight right in the center of the map and just waiting for G2 to progress. I'll tell you what, that's got some balls on him, and so is Guards here stepping out. You near that carbine ripping away, but doesn't quite find the kill on towards Alamau. But it's just a reminder, you're not safe even on the windows.
Yeah, G2 not really getting moving yet, but it's going to be Shaiko who tries to hit the accelerator. He's moving in through Cigar at the minute, and that's going to put the pressure on from the other side as we continue to see this fight from window as the utility is getting dumped in. Can Guards continue to survive? That's the question. His ADS is doing him well. It's Doki who manages to waddle through the middle of sight and find that opening kill. He's backed up by Shaiko, but Hasham, led pro, manages to find him. Doki from 0 kills to 2 in a heartbeat. And that is going to be G2 taking control of the top floor.
Yeah, much better from Doki there. Capitalizing as well off the back of Shaiko. Trade play, never a bad thing. Yes, Shaiko died, but if your teammate is there to secure a kill in the seconds after when your opponent is low on bullets or has to reload, wonderful. He gets another Tim. Maybe I'll start stepping forward here to make it all fine if he carries on. Still 2 more to chew through though, Jalad and P9. Hunkered down here on the second floor while G2 have got full top floor control and about 40 seconds to work with.
Tries to take the drop there. I think he was getting a little bit overconfident with those kills he'd racked up. P9 does manage to find him. Benja onto Jalad means that P9 now in a 1v3, taking a little bit of chip damage. 1v2 as he predicts the movement, and Benja finds the shot, and he's got the pings, he's got the intel.
Does he know the spot? Does he know the spot? I'm not 100% sure that he does. Punches it out anyway, and now it gets swung onto Surely off towards his right-hand side. Can't find either man, and this is a big recovery effort for P9. Really thought he'd be able to catch the diffuser planter going down, but no. Alamau gets what he needs. G2 keep it at 3-3.
Just as tight as we expected going into the half then. 3-3, even spoils.
Holy shit, bro. These guys are insane, bro.
It's stressful,
What I feel like what a stressful game. Let's see.
Move your mic a bit closer.
Monty Blitz.
No. We said Monty BB.
Right?
You
and
think,
just
bro?
play down for the blitz.
Listen, this is my theory, right? We have so much time to talk. This is my theory. If we ban Monty BB, they can't play the BB and Cigar to nade KDS, to nade Phase. But they can do the Blitz Repel on stage to push Pixel. Shaiko and Zach need to be more ready for that. The Bakery Direct is stronger. The VIP OPK with the Blitz is stronger. We haven't practiced against those things in a long time.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, then look, if you don't put much BB there, like if you go kitchen, don't go kitchen around, okay?
Go
do kitchen
turtle,
turtle,
okay.
especially if you have the Azami, so like you can use the Azami coffee.
Are you sure? Because Kitchen Turtle with shield open, I like the C4 and Bakery with the Warden.
You can play the Warden
at the back, yeah, I can. Okay. I can play it. It's just not as strong, but I can play it.
Okay, Kitchen Turtle, you might play the Cade, right? It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. You can, because then it denies the more direct attacks. Cade's
Map attack.
The last thing, guys, remember they are the two. If they're gonna play kitchen, of course, probably have a Valkyrie cam for rotate mid late round. You know, let's try to put some good drones in prep phase, something like in the second floor or in the third floor stair, and we see if they are hard roaming a bit or not. If they roaming a bit, we can bring Tokaebi, we can try to kill this guy, and we can have the control of the Valkyrie's cameras.
Okay.
If they hard turtle, just bring IQ and we deal with the camera, retake camera. Okay.
يلا اخوان مرة صحصحوا.
Let's go guys.
شاب اللي يربي الكوكتيل والاماكن هذه شاب دير بالكم من تبرا ودير بالكم من يعني حتى لو تحت رماد راح يسوون دبل رماد يحبون يطلعون الكوكتيل.
اوكي نقدر نلعب اثنين انا وهشوم.
بانز ميرا سولس يس
بانز ميرا سلس
اكيد.
ايه سلس.
Really interesting stuff there. I think especially on the G2 tap timeout, this is one thing worth stressing. Like, coaches don't have all the answers or the only opinion that's right in a team. And often you'll hear, I remember speaking to Super about this a couple of years ago, that relationship between coach and IGL is so critical for a team to be successful. And obviously Doki isn't the IGL, but still wanted to step in there with ideas and say, no, we should ban this because I can do that. It does enable this over there, but that's okay. I'm willing to take that. And so sure enough, that Monty and Blackbeard ban has come on through.
Okay then, let's see how G2 can do on the defense. At the minute, it is Twisted Minds who have been able to kind of come out on top of the stats-wise there. So both of these teams have about a 50% defensive win record on Cafe. So Twisted Minds, yep, they've just met their normal bar. But the reason they've come out on top there is because G2's normal bar for attacking is 76% win rate, which they have fallen short of. Twisted Minds at 71% now have an opportunity to come out and get more attacks than G2 did here. Can G2 stand up on the defense in the same way that Twisted Minds did? Round 7. And I think we're going to have at least 6 rounds left to go in this match.
Ooh, you reckon?
I think we're going to have at least 6 left to go.
I mean, a map 3 OT does sound very us, Tim.
It'd be very tasty.
And Medics, who I believe is observing this game as well. It's that combo. It always happens. Oh, it's Nova. Sorry, Nova. You're not in the OT club, I'm afraid. Okay, this game's over in 4 rounds, Tim. I'm joking, Nova. I'm sure we can get this one done all the way. Let's find out what happens then. We've got a lot of C4s that we're doubling in behind, including that Mozzie setup. So a lot of intel denial on the other side. Looking to make Twisted Minds slightly unsure of themselves and able to get a full scope of insight on what's happening throughout the map. Now, I can guarantee you, Alamau's looking to be a little bit cheeky with that pulse scanner.
So Manning is going to be the first site for G2. We saw this held by Twisted Minds back in round 4. They were successful in their defense of it. G2 were a little bit wild in that round. That was the one where they kind of just threw themselves in through windows, and Benja went running in, trusting the Soliton radar, even though the Pulse was stood on top of a mute jammer, and G2 were punished very heavily for those mistakes. I'm not sure Twisted Minds are necessarily going to give them the same opportunities.
All that information you just saw Alamar being fed knows where a couple of players are, and they've already called that Hershon was coming in. Bottom white, a shot on towards him, and Stomping goes round, gets the kill, and then straight back up white he goes before the second player stepping in behind, which was Trickster, believe, can capitalise. Shaiko onto P9 as well. It's looking great so far for G2. They have completely shut this down, all off the back of that pulse information.
Yeah, so solid coming out from G2. Could be a flawless start here. Stomping gets taken down by guards, so it won't be, but you just know that it is a matter of time. Okay, just straight away, back in the old chat, continues it. Alamo is going to be the one to find the kill, though, and that is going to be G2 taking their first defense. I asked the question, can G2 stand up on defense as well as Twisted Minds did? And it certainly looks to be the case so far in round 7.
That was just really straightforward and simple, wasn't it? And what I love, you see this a little bit on the attacking side. Interestingly, we saw it last time on this exact map, was when Falcons are playing it, and Leakafat was running around on the Snake, making use of the information to call to the team what to do, where to go, where players are, so on and so forth. And Alamau here, as the IGL, on that pulse could see. There's a player on Repel, there's one that's just come in bottom white as well, someone should swing him. I can't see a second player out there covering the doorway, therefore we know that he's exposed, and Stomping capitalises beautifully, and from there, they fold like a deck chair, Tim. Great stuff from G2, really effective defense. Twisted Minds will probably want to push that one out of their memory and say, right, go again, that was a car crash. We can do better than that. Yeah,
that's it. You've got, you know, if you're a Twisted Minds fan, like I said, coming in here, you're maybe a little bit worried off the back of that, because I said they're kind of relying on that 71% attacking win rate that they've had previously. They've got the job done on defense. Now is the time to come out and close this out. But if they are unable to put up the same sort of numbers, they're not going to manage to do that. We've got G2 on a kitchen defense. Lineup is all pretty standard. Benja is going to be, for me, the key component. Tuberai will be playing inside of VIP, almost certainly. We see him just moving himself over in that direction. And Twisted Minds, they better have a plan to get him moved.
And Benja asking questions on towards the Havana outside here. Jalad was the one who was marching on forward. A few seconds, arguably too early. On his shots coming through, Benja doesn't quite connect onto the man. However, with the wall now being opened up, he gets a lovely line of sight all the way through down that corridor in towards the bottom of Brown, which starts to restrict the movement possibilities coming out from the side of G2. But Tim, not their gun capabilities. 2 kills towards Doki, who I'm sure is having an absolute field day here, has single-handedly dismantled this bakery push.
Yeah, he's going to absolutely love that. I don't know what's happened to Twisted Minds here in the second half of this one, but they have certainly taken their foot off the gas. I'm going to see them down now at 2 versus 5. Hasham, this is actually smart play. There's 2 minutes left. He's just holding his angle. He's hoping somebody gives him an opportunity, hoping that they give him something, give him a cheap kill. They're not going to. Doki goes to the peak and finds the kill.
Come on, drop it in chat, Doki. Please, please entertain me. They're all going for him. Run away, Tricks! G2 are coming. Might get one freebie on the stairs by the looks of it now. They've all backed away. They don't want to give him a chance to land a few nice headshots. But this round looks already over and done. Try as he might. There's a lot to do here. And arguably, Tim, that's the second attack that has been an absolute car crash for the side of Twisted Minds.
Yeah, really not been good for them so far, has it? Undone this time by a Doki double to kick things off. Guards and P9 both taken down very, very quickly. And again, Twisted Minds just unable to get themselves into the building. Like I say, this looks night and day different from the team that we saw in the first half. They got a good job done. They shut down what has been historically a very good G2 attack on Cafe, but they just aren't able to get it done themselves. It's like one of them. They've rolled the dice. The first 6 has landed by getting that 50% first half on defense, but now that second dice, it's just tumbling towards a 1, Des.
It's not looking good, is it? It's really not. Time, of course, correct, boys. You can't afford to have another car crash attack like the previous. Otherwise, you go into the last quarter with a 3-round deficit and all 3 sides being absolutely terrible for you in terms of attacking success. Now, Tim, we are going to the top floor. If they're going to win any sites, you would anticipate, predict that this would be the one they'd find some success in. It's a bit more direct. It's a bit more to the point than the other sites. So there's less that you have to chew through. Have to be wary, of course, of those potentially playing downstairs. It's where a Solus would be a bit of a threat. But with that band away, Twisted Minds aren't going to be too bothered about it.
Stomping on the Warden. I'm going to keep an eye on him and see exactly where he plays that one. I think he'll be maybe out towards Pixel, just looking to support Benja, who is currently inside of Piano. Or maybe could be towards White Stairs, I guess. But at the minute, just going to lock himself in Freezer and get on those cams, feed intel back into his team. Twisted Minds just having a look at the way they've shaped up. They're actually all around at the moment. They've got Jalad moving on to the Heaven Rappel. They've got Guards and Hasham P9 all over on the Piano side. So kind of a bit of everything going on. The question is, can they get into the map successfully? That's been the big failure so far.
Well, this is the thing. There's like, what, 3 players on G2 all staring down towards Piano. You can see we've got Benja, of course, stomping that we saw earlier, and Shaiko with a C4 waiting below for just the right moment to collect his man, and also hoping to find someone, I thought, actually, by the looks of it from the window. But not quite enough being exposed. Now they'll be able to get inside. Red should be in their control, unless Shaiko's got something to say about it, of course.
Yeah, mostly up onto the rooftop. Jalad has given up that Heaven window as well, which gives Alamau a little bit more freedom. Doki's the one in an interesting position at the minute, playing right underneath that skylight. Will be spotted out, manages to take down the Twitch drone, but also does he decide it's time to relocate? He's actually gone back into position after taking that drone out.
Ooh, and this is what I mean. Look, Shaiko said could try and work his way towards Red, and he's going for just that. They're aware of it, though, and of course no C4 in back pocket. I've just noted 6 barbed wires they've got inside Tim. Really trying to stop either side moving around, but there we go. It's Benja to full first, the Thorn offline.
The Dokubi call went in from Twisted Minds, but there was no real movement on the back of it. There was no real push to try and take any ground. Yes, they've got themselves an opener a little bit later. Benja was playing aggressively. He was kind of asking for that, but G2 otherwise has still just dug into sight, and I just question that use of the Dokubi call. No real movement, no real ground gained off the back of it, and now you've got to wait for this second one to come in.
It's time for me as well, Tim, that's slowly starting to wear down. They've got this man advantage, but that clock becomes a 6th man for the defenders. Do they know one's back here? No, Doki's got back here. Steps out for the window, but either way, it wouldn't have mattered. Tim, there was a player off towards his right inside a cigar shop. They could have seen him finished off, and it's a Shom to collect that. 5v3. Surely Twisted Minds can't lose this one.
Time is going to be the factor here. Jalad manages to walk up White Stairs, and I'll bet that speeds things up a bit. Shaiko onto P9. Shaiko onto Guards. How many more times am I going to say his name? That's going to be another one down. Tricks. Shaiko will be downed himself. Alamau is effectively effectively 1v2 though. This is doable for him with only 15 seconds left to go. He's got Shaiko feeding him intel as well. He knows where they're pushing from. He finds it, and it becomes a 1v1. Des damage taken.
He got shot by the one, but down on the deck and behind him. Jalad has hunted him down. It's not going to be a 6-3. 5-4's the way it goes, and Twisted Minds, after almost giving up that round to Shaiko's 3K, Jalad keeps him going. Wow.
Brilliant stuff we are having in this matchup. Twisted Minds needed a round. They needed it desperately, and I think they need another one. They don't want to give G2 2 match point opportunities. I feel like it might just be a little bit too much to come back from. G2, they were playing with a lot of confidence coming into that round. Maybe that's just been tempered a little bit. Doke was running round at barricades, his usual self on defense, but it might just slow things down. Him and Benja, I think, both got a little bit over-aggressive there. Peeks onto windows, moving out into piano, and just really being punished by Twisted Minds. So that leaves us 5-4, and we're going to have G2 move back to mining.
Oh, he must have... Oh. He obviously assumed he was going to round in towards bar, and again, it's a hindsight 2020 thing. He thought he'd come through the bar door, was ready for that angle, didn't realise he was being pursued, in hot pursuit, by Jalad with the pistol.
He was on a Rooney. Imagine if he'd turned and give him the punch as he was running through the door. It would have been great.
It would have been phenomenal, but no cigar. We are instead going down into mining and fireplace team. Find ourselves going here a little bit earlier on. Alamal once again is going to jump across onto that pulse. It was so effective last time around, and unfortunately not able to catch away the drone there. Shaiko will put one on the main door regardless. Any coming on through, well, they're going to get themselves sniffed out pretty quickly. So Alamal's the one my eyes are on, admittedly, keeping an eye on that pulse scanner again because they got so much value out of it last time around, and I suspect it's going to be more of the same. I'm not even sure that Twisted Minds really understood what was going on. Maybe they just thought it was assumed aggression coming out from G2. Whereas in fact, it was very highly informed.
Ben just, I was going to say, still got that nitro ripped and ready. He's actually going to get it out again, and this is the right time because Hasham is up there now. I think he's waiting for the sound cue of maybe a Claymore going down. He is indeed, out it goes, but Hasham, alert to the danger, dips away, sees his man. Opportunity there, Benja really gets away with one.
Kind of giving Hasham the Hasham treatment, isn't he?
Yep.
Absolute aggression. C4 coming out, stepping up to peek onto the window as well. Doesn't want to let him be comfortable for even half a second. But given he's got away with nothing there, he's now going to have to resort to stepping back at least a little bit. Phone call comes on through. 4 players tagged up, but it's probably a little bit too early for that one, Tim. As for the rest of Twisted Minds, no real movement is made.
P9's going to take the drop on Snake, gets himself into top red and can look to start aggressing down towards site. I think that's going to be the angle that he looks to hold. Just looking across the side of G2, nobody now on that top floor, so Twisted Minds are able to go in and get control of that should they wish to, start to use a little bit of verticality. They don't actually have too much on side that can open up anything. It's going to have to be more of a lateral push here.
I'm also wondering where a few of these G2 players are, but probably need a little bit more. Of course, the Soliton going to be excellent for getting a sniff on what's going down, as well as the phone call available to Jalad. But of course, earlier on, we also saw a mute jammer get in the way the first time of G2. It could still yet do the same here. The first call onto Benja was blocked by that jammer. So it might not be a case of, again, as we said before, relying entirely on what you see from the intel.
Shaiko manages to find the first. That's on Shasham. Not ideal for Twisted Minds here. Like I said, they really need to be winning this round. Stompin manages to pick up P9 as well. 5 versus 3. Jalad battling left and right. Just misses his shots. Unfortunate for him. Continues to try and fight. Doesn't know where he'll be pushed from. Stompin, Shaiko, another one each. A double kill for both of them. 5 versus 1. It's all up to guards. It's on the sub's shoulders. Otherwise, G2 are going to get 2 chances to close this out and qualify to the final stage of the Salt Lake City Major.
Come on, Doki, back on the keyboard. This is normally your time to shine when your team's in a 5 versus 1, and not there you go. I knew it was coming. Well, look who it is. It is indeed Guards, who more often than not has found himself left alive in these 1vx situations. 10 seconds left here, and this one is going to be done. It's 6-4, Tim. That means for G2, 1 more round, and they will be on our live stage on Friday. They get to have a holiday for a few days now.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You know, it's that early qualification, isn't it? Gives you a chance to plan, to prep, to put all the work in, to watch, of course, the other teams and see exactly who's doing what, who's in form, where are they playing, and where is working, where's not. I'm sure Romalio will be grateful of that time to sit, plan, and prep. So, G2, 6-4. Twisted Minds just taking the opportunity at the end of that to have a quick 20 seconds as a team and have a chat, see if they can maybe get something in the pipeline that's going to help them get this next couple of rounds over the board. But you really do feel G2 have a huge advantage here. They've been, I said, Twisted Minds had a good defense by going 3-3 and shutting down that good G2 Cafe attack. You felt like they've given themselves a real platform to build from, but G2 have just said, you know, look, we can do it even better than that. And they've come in and looked really, really solid.
They have. It started out a little bit ropey at the beginning of the series. It's been nothing but a battle back through since then. And I don't want to say an outright dominant one because the Twisted Minds, they've still played relatively well. I'd say here we've seen them struggle a little bit, same as back on Chalet. But nothing that I look at and go, oh, these boys are in trouble here. They might not be able to make it to our main stage. I think with how they've played so far throughout the tournament and played, especially on the first map of this series, they've more than made a claim to say that they deserve to be on that live stage on Friday here in Salt Lake City. And they've still got another, 2 chances after this in which to do it? A best of 3 tomorrow and potentially a best of 3 on Wednesday to do it.
I think there's a very good chance that we see them there. I agree. I don't think Twisted Minds will lose too many opportunities. They're certainly not generally, you know, sort of nervous or that kind of team that's going to miss for the big occasion. But, well, G2, as we keep saying, one of the favourites coming into the tournament. Everybody's been saying it, coaches, players, supporters, everybody at home. You know, everybody is thinking the same thing. So to lose here, Twisted Minds is not the end of the world. But look, there are 2 rounds left yet. There is nothing lost until it is done. We know this about Siege. Twisted Minds, it's time to get it done. They've got the Sense, they've got the Capitao, they've got Glaz, Raura, they've got an absolute ton of utility to throw at G2 in this round. The pressure is all coming towards Bakery at the moment. It's going to be Doki tasked in that position to try and hold on.
Trigger the utility first. Still got a Goyo canister on the other side that hasn't yet been dealt with either. That's what I thought they were going for with a potential nade bounce, and sure enough, it does get tagged out, taken away. Now I've got to wait for that to burn through before they can even think about moving on forward from here. Last time round, Doki was the one who got that absolute massacre onto the double door. Surely you'd hope Twisted Minds don't fall foul to the same thing twice.
That's smart from Shaiko. They've played the Raura panel onto the wall. The Dom panel does its job. They don't expect him there. He's walked under it before it came down. Brilliant stuff as he manages to get the opener onto Jalad. Thinks about continuing fighting. Stomping. Gets P9. We do see Shaiko taken out at the same point guards with a kill onto Doki. He's going to love that one. 3 versus 3, Des.
Oh boy, it's still savable for Twisted Minds. They've still got a bit of utility to play behind. They've still got the players and the guns online. But for G2, I was going to say the one upstairs in Benji would have been pretty crucial, but now that he's gone down, they've lost that little side factor they had to be able to bring in the round. Just Alamau and Stomping inside of sight against the 3 on the other side. They've, of course, got this Soliton. They can get the scan through. They see where those players are. And surely with 60 seconds, Tim can get it done. But oh no, Alamau gets the first. And a second comes in as Sean finding this one onto Alamau for the trade. Can Stomping clutch up big. 1-0.
Doki's called it already. It's a 1v1. It's against guards. This could go very wrong or very right. Stomping, we know, has got the ability, but guards, he picks him up. He silences Doki for another round. And that is going to be all 12 as a minimum, Des.
Probably be some question marks back from Twisted Minds there. Stomping just getting a little bit too comfortable, assuming the guards wasn't going to move and wanted to reposition himself on the prep window. But as we saw, a bit too mobile and catches them off guard. You said, Tim, you thought we might see 6 rounds. We've seen 6. Will we see any more?
Twisted Minds have still got a job to do. Their fans cannot get too excited yet. I would say G2 have been the better team in this second half on the whole. And it came down to a 1v1 in round 11. But They continue to fight. They continue to dig deep. They continue to show us. I love this play from Shaiko, by the way. Yeah, the Dom panel going on the door and just getting underneath it quickly. They really didn't expect him to be in there. I think if he wins that second fight there, maybe that's the difference maker for the round. But it was well played by Twisted Minds to win out that gunfight. So heading into round 12 we go. It all comes down to this. We either get a win for G2 or we get a few more rounds of this beautiful game. It's going to be reading that G2 try to hold on to.
Alrighty. And much of the same that we've seen before, that Fenrir becoming quite a staple. And Akai not being banned away an awful lot at all by Twisted Minds is making its return. That will make this upstairs a bit tougher to work their way through. But we've seen with Twisted Mind a few times, Tim, they've not even bothered bringing along a Hibana. They don't care about the range breach. They care just much more about having the right utility for smashing their way through the map. And of course, getting the close when it comes to the sharp end of things. So, keep an eye on those C4s. Keep an eye on G2 being busy. Most importantly, keep an eye on Twisted Minds. All this information on side once more.
Not an ideal start for Dorky. Jalad takes him down. And it's interesting, Twisted Minds here have recognised the sheer volume of electrical equipment that they're going to be facing. And they've brought along Kasham on the Brava. He's going to be looking for that bulletproof camera. He's going to be looking for the laser gates. He's going to be looking for all that gadgetry that he can find. The F-Nuts are going to be the big target. Stompin manages to level things up, and that's a big loss. The Dockerbay call goes with them.
I was going to say, that was the big one. The fact that it's the Dockerbay removed, just lets other players on the side of G2 now play more aggressively around the map, knowing that they aren't going to get a call coming through and then get jumped on by 2 or 3 players. There is still the Deimos available. There are those tracks in the back pocket of P9, but even he's nearly finished off there. Tim, a couple of shots coming his way. For now, still standing. Twisted Minds looking a little bit rattled.
A little bit of go time there on the back of the Deimos scan. We see the silhouette in the distance drop. That was Alamau forced away down the hatch. And it means that top floor is all up to Stompin, who's going to drop himself as well. So Twisted Minds now have control over the top floor. 1 minute, 10 seconds left to use it. They get aggressive out towards White Stairs, trying to see if they can get anything through the drone hole. They will not, but P9 does manage to find Benja. 3 versus 4 now. G2 try to hold on. They don't want anything extra here. They want to get it done here and now. Track continues to come out. They are making life a real misery right now for G2 or Twisted Minds.
A C4 available for Shaiko. I was going to say dancing around pillars. I don't think he'd have known, but there was a player hovering above him. C4 comes out but doesn't find what he needs. Instead, he's the one who's found out. Hasham brings it to a 4v2, and surely, Tim, this game now only goes one way.
You really think that's going to be the case, don't you? Alamau waiting though. Stompin manages to get one taken down. Trade from Hasham, and there it is. Guards with the final kill, and we're going to overtime, Des.
G2 will be kicking themselves. This felt like a game that they could have had sewn up a long time ago. But Twisted Minds have battled back through. It looked over those last couple of rounds like we might be asking a bit too much. But they've got it done. G2 on the defense, Twisted Minds on the attack. The sides don't really matter, Tim, because we've seen a perfect 3-3 split. G2, Romario stepping in with attack timeout at the start of OT.
Yeah, you don't see this too often, do you? The overtime tactical timeout, but I think this could be really valuable. I've spoken already about Romalio's success in tactical timeouts, so coming in now and giving the team that intel, giving them that blueprint for the future, for the rounds that they're going to play, I think this could be really impactful for them.
This would be a case, I imagine, of just figuring out exactly how to approach it. There's only 3 rounds that you've got to worry about. This is prime time to talk about, right, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to go to this site. We're going to play this operator. We're going to do it like this. This is the time for the very specific instructions that often we've seen coaches at previous events given. Sometimes it can be more about the vibes, calm down, guys. Let's take it 1 round at a time. We see those kind of timeouts sometimes as well. But here, I think it's more specific instructions because G2 shouldn't have let it come back to this. 3 of the last 4 rounds being won by Twisted Minds. G2 had every opportunity to see it over the line. And now they could yet be in a position to lose out and have to carry on fighting tomorrow.
It's certainly not to put, the whole round on one thing. It wasn't the case back in the last round, but G2 really need to not be losing somebody in the first 15, 20 seconds. That was really not ideal. Doki being taken out so quickly and leaving them in the 4v5. But more importantly here, Twisted Minds have really got themselves some momentum over the last couple of rounds. They're the ones that have won 2 on the bounce heading into overtime. G2, they're going to be defending Kitchen. If we have a look at what happened previously, they won it back in round 8. Twisted Minds won it in round 11, so 50-50. Just like everything else in this match.
Well, sadly, Tim, at round 15, can't be 50-50. It has to go one way or the other.
You know it's going to 15.
I get the feeling it is.
The whole thing is going to come down to one round.
But we also assumed that back in the Enterprise Falcons game earlier after 5-1 defensive halves, and then we saw Enterprise win the attack in round 13. So we could yet see a surprise coming out of either side. Let's see, though, what happens. Trix taking some early shots there. Not finished off, of course, but it's a nice reminder for himself that G2 like to play aggressive as well.
G2 have actually... They do, but they've given away the rest of the map. So there's going to be no challenge on second or third floor here from G2. Stomping, however, manages to find one big loss with Hasham taken away. It's the Ram, so they're going to lose a lot of their vertical capability. In fact, all of it. They're going to be limited completely to DMRs. That is bad news for Twisted Minds. How can they adapt? How can they overcome? What is going to be the answer?
Like you say, DMRs is really the play at this point, though. I think you just don't even bother going vertically. You try and look to go laterally instead. The challenge here being actually getting inside the building is proven to be a little bit of a frustration point. You've got Bendra's watching off towards Y, Alamar's watching restaurant and lobby, and then, of course, Doki and Stompin are keeping an eye on what's going on in bakery, with Shaiko just hovering around red stairs. So they've got really good coverage of what's going on. Chalet looking for something, has a phone call available. Might not be a bad shout to use it a little bit sooner rather than later here. His last round, he died before he got a chance to use any of them.
God's just going to hold his position, but he might be challenged by Alamau in a second.
Baited.
However, Alamau looks around, sees the man, finds the kill. Trix taken down. Jalad tries to move out. Does find... Oh, he's a bit of a wild spray, though. He has to dip back into safety while Alamau finds another elsewhere. 5 versus 2. G2 look like they're going to be the one with 2 opportunities to win this one.
And we got all the phone calls available, Tim. Would really love to see one of those coming out. At least wins the fight onto Benja. Now there's a second off towards his right, the other side of Coat. Feels like you might be asking a bit too much of Jalad and guards here to be able to win a 2 versus 4.
Shaiko, Alamau both low health though. G2 need to be cautious here. They don't want to be giving any gunfights away for fun. Guards, he's going to be holding a tight angle through sight. Maybe have a look, see what they give you. Do they want to give you anything for free? Absolutely not. Guards taken down to about 10 HP now, and it is not looking good for Twisted Minds. They continue to try to fight at distance. Jalad even having to be very careful. That barbed wire could have been the end of him. It wouldn't have taken much. He's going to relocate, look to push down red, maybe see if he can get anything going into sight. A smart light screen there is just going to block off and force a little bit of movement from G2.
Shaiko's tucked himself away beautifully, and it's in the right time. I tell you what, this man's had some magical moves around Small Bakery this game. You love a toe shot, Tim. Shaiko finally finished off, but not before the damage has been done. Stomping with the closing kill. G2 up to match, series, and live stage points.
They get 2 opportunities as well. Of course, if you get that advantage of winning the first overtime round, then you get 2 bites at the cherry. Twisted Minds go on to the defense. Let's have a look at what site they are going to choose. I think probably Kitchen. They won that twice. 100% win rate. The others they did lose on. Yes, it is going to be Kitchen. We see on our other screen that they do choose to go down to that ground floor. So what did G2 do here? We just saw Twisted Minds lose Ram early in the round, choose to attack without verticals, and it did not really go in their favour. Will G2 take that full map control that we usually expect on Cafe? Sweep down from top floor. Use the snake to get that scanner out, move quickly, and take control before opening things up. I have a look at the line out at the minute. It may change. We've got the sledge being brought along. I was going to say it doesn't look like they're going for verticality, but as I say that, it looks exactly like they're going for verticality. Ram and sledge brought in.
I think you probably have to, because you and I have cast Twisted Minds a couple of times now throughout this tournament, and we know that Hasham is a nightmare, Tim. You can't pin him down. Loves to be aggressive around the map, and Scott Boss being the perfect operator for it. G2 know that he's going to be somewhere above them, and the last thing you're going to be doing is focusing on hitting sight as someone is peppering you from above and making your life difficult. So I think getting in towards the map here and making use of what they brought along to clear their way through is perfect. They've actually got so much vertical utility on side. Of course, the sledge in the ram, like you said, Tim, but also that fuse making a return once again. Last time around, it was there to deal with a lot of the Goyo canisters and the gadgetry inside of sites itself. I just really hope this time around that we do check on drones where players are hiding.
Yeah, that's a big one for G2. I said it at the time, I'll say it again. Their intel game wasn't always on point. We saw a number of mistakes from just being unaware of players' locations. So G2 need to make sure that they do their due diligence and make sure that they're aware of everything going on ahead of them. Going to have the entry coming in through reading door. I think it's going to be Doki looking to get in through there. But the droning will continue on that top floor. Have they spotted Hasham? That is the big one. We will hear the call go out as Dorkaby looks to push forward. Hasham has to drop a little bit further back, but the fact that he's staying in this position on his belly again suggests that he hasn't yet been droned, and that mute jammer could be crucial. G2, are you walking into a big problem?
They know. I swear they know that he's on white stairs. He's been here before. He's played this position. He's given them a spot of bother. I think they're just going to know. They might not be able to see everything because of the jammers that you can see scattered around. It was actually what Hasham used.
He's gone anyway. He's gone.
I was going to say he used the jammer there to be able to disable the call off immediately and then get himself laced straight back down. Here he's in the bunkered spot that he was in last time around before he eventually TP'd over, got himself into that back corner, and there we go. That second shot probably going to be dealt with shortly.
Yeah, so G2 have got the top two floors in their control now. They're a little bit behind time here. We'd expect to see the verticality kicking off about the 1 minute 30 mark. It was 1 minute 20. So let's just keep an eye on that timer and see how we go. If we find ourselves in the last 5-10 seconds of the round, then that might just be coming back to back. G2. P9 is still in position in VIP. Another one to watch. Does manage to find the kill on the reverse angle onto Benja. Twisted Minds holding on. Hatch is going to be open, but if they want to plant in Freezer, they need to clear P9 out of VIP.
Probably a good time here to get some of those fuse charges down. Just force the defenders to move, if nothing else. Clear out any final bits of utility. But Alamar, I think, is already thinking about this drop. Pleased to know and pleased to report that Hasham is not sat in the corner of bunker waiting for him this time around. There are smokes they've had to worry about. The last one has come out. There is a C4 still available as a swing comes in from P9. Does hit Doki, but thankfully, Tim, the range on that shotgun, maybe not quite what it once was.
Flash goes down and allows Doki to aggress, but there's not much of a plan for dealing with VIP from G2 again. It was just down to one man and a 50-50 gunfight, which they lost. Kill after kill comes in from Twisted Minds. It's been a really nice defense. They have been just entrenched in these difficult positions. Stomper manages to find one, but that will be all it is. An exit frag and nothing more. A consolation as we go all the way to 15.
It's just a classic, isn't it? Two EU teams fighting for a scrap on the live stage, and it takes all 3 maps, all 15 rounds. It felt throughout this map like G2 typically had the edge, but Twisted Minds just keep on doing what they do best. Being a little bit crazy and keeping the other side always asking questions. Where the bloody hell is Hasham? Is Chalet going to pop off this round? Can we stop guards? There's so much to worry about. And now we're going to set up a defense in Fireplace and Mining. G2 choosing that as their last hope of qualifying here and now with a flawless record to the live stage. The Twisted Minds may have something to say about that.
I tell you what, the old chat's quietened down the last couple of rounds.
I wonder why. I do wonder why. I mean, 1, Doki started getting kills, and 2, guards is pretty much up there as well.
It's certainly quietened down.
It's getting serious.
As these two have locked in, laser focus towards this. It all comes down to it. We saw Clubhouse, Twisted Minds won 7-2. We saw Chalet, G2 answered back with a body blow, 7-3. And now on Cafe, 7 apiece. The winner and the live stage spot to be decided over just 1 round. What's the chances of it coming down to a 1v1 Doki versus guards?
I think, Doki guards or Doki P9?
Doki P9, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I'll take either. We've had guards versus stomping, so I'll say P9. That's what I want my money on, Tim. I want to see a Doki P9 to close it out. All right, we've got Alamal back on that pulse. I spoke to Death about it already. This is the 3rd time we've seen it on this map. Used it excellently to destroy 3 players on the side of Twisted Minds as they approach from the south side of the building, just like you see in P9 do now. But I'd imagine on the other side, Twisted Minds are a little bit more wise to it by now. They've got the inkling, they've got the understanding about what it is that G2 are doing to be so effective at dealing with them and won't let them get away with it again.
Stompin tasked with holding that top floor. He's supported by Doki, who's over in bar. And he's going to drop away very quickly, actually. So that's going to leave Doki the only one now up on that top floor. Maybe an opportunity for Twisted Minds to get aggressive. Needs to be careful here. Benja steps out and nearly takes a lick of damage. Will just manage to avoid those bullets, but he knows that they're playing on the half roof. Are they aware of Shaco's position? He's done it so well so far, cropping up in these little surprise positions. You know he wants a bit of it. He sees the man.
Sees the gun, Tim. And that kind of gave him away there. A little bit too trigger happy, I think, and it has bit him at least a little bit. Lesion, the Shaiko working back down red stairs. Of course, able to do so much from that angle. He assists Benja inside of Train. Also able to help out inside of Small Bait, where he's had so many excellent plays so far in this game. And I think given the opportunity, he'll pull off another wonder, an absolute blinder inside of there, and potentially end this for Twisted Minds, who have got a couple of players dancing around that part of the map.
Sean's been holding that angle for a long while now.
Ooh, C4 attempt.
Selma charge will be successful despite being electrified. As long as you get it on the surface next to it, it will be fine. And that's going to open the hatch up above Benja. Going to force him to just be a little bit more cautious in his movement here. He's in the train car at the minute. And he's going to continue to hold his position.
So low. 1 HP may yet prove to be enough. P9 working his way down just above him. But it's Stomping to fall first. This is not looking good, Tim.
Now you've got Stompin down, you've got Shaco low health, they're going to chase him down, find the kill, 5 versus 3. This could be a huge moment for Twisted Minds. They could be heading through to the next phase of the Salt Lake City Major. The Goo Minds are still doing their job, Des. They're still frustrating, they're still slowing down, but with 30 seconds left to go, Benja manages to find one onto Hasham. This is far from done. There could be another twist in a tale full of twists.
This battle over red stairs is absolutely huge. I was going to say Trix is coming down to join from above, and he's the one who's found Benja. A 4 versus 2. Who's going to be the hero? Alamau with the pistol for 1. Doki now finished off. Alamau's got to find 4 in the round. Otherwise, it's Twisted Minds going on through. What a shot. Gets rid of Jalad. Diffuse now going down. C4 in back pocket, but it's up on the table, Tim. I don't think he'll quite find his man. No, he will not. Alamau's got to win a 1v2 post plant. And I don't quite think Tim has got enough time to do it.
He made such a good effort of that pulse play underneath, predicting the drop from the hatch. Almost found the C4 in the right position, but couldn't do it. He's on the pistol, he's sticking, he's committed, he sees the man, but he's cut down, and it's Gorbs to finish it off. Twisted Minds are our first team who qualified to the next phase of the Salt Lake City Major. What a game of attrition that was. They dug deep, and they found the win in round 15 of map 3.
Can I remind everyone of one very important fact?
Animal! Animal! Animal!
I'm just going to watch this play out. You ever seen them videos of like 2 dogs other side of a gate that are like, arr, and then the gate opens and they both just go dead silent? That was Hasham just then. But that was a wonderful reminder of what more you can see between these two. No doubt we'll see it much more during stage 1. We'll see it plenty more in the future. But that has been a fantastic game. The reminder again, Tim, they're playing with a sub. Guards has been phenomenal. The whole team has. We'll go to a break.